On the night
it
of
would be
August
trapped
30th,
beneath thousands of
2024,
miles
the
of
Atlas
hydrogen.
Survey Telescope
But
in Hawaii's
it
Mauna
could still
Loa
host
Observatory
life.
detected an object
Microbes
moving through
floating
the
in
inner
this
solar
buried
system
ocean
at
could
87
produce
kilometers per
dimethyl
second,
sulfide.
roughly
The gas would bubble up through the
195,000 miles
atmosphere,
per hour.
reaching
Initially
altitudes
catalogued
where
as another
telescopes
routine
detect it.
near-Earth
Critics
asteroid,
point out
the object
problems
was
with this
designated
scenario. How would life start in a
III/A/ATLAS,
buried
following
ocean?
the naming convention
Earth,
for interstellar
life
visitors.
likely
But as
began
astronomers
in
around the
shallow
world
pools
turned their
or near
instruments toward this
hydrothermal
cosmic
vents,
traveller, the
places
data
where
that came back
energy
made
and
no
chemicals
sense.
concentrate.
The object spectrum
A
showed
buried
impossible
ocean lacks
chemistry.
these features.
Its trajectory
Energy would be
violated
scarce.
orbital mechanics.
Nutrients
Its structure
would be
defied
limited.
everything we know
Starting
about how
life in
comets
such
and asteroids
conditions
form.
seems implausible.
Within weeks,
But once started,
III/ATLAS
perhaps
had
through
gone
some
from an
unknown
astronomical
mechanism,
curiosity
life
to the
might
most
spread
studied
and
object
thrive.
in the solar system.
Another issue is
and the most
methane.
disturbing,
Neptune
because if the
has
data is
2%
correct,
methane.
this object
This
shouldn't
ocean world
exist.
has 1%.
Not in our solar system.
On Neptune,
not in our
methane
universe.
comes from the planet's
not according
interior,
to any physics we
released through
understand.
convection
What
and
you're about to
atmospheric
discover will
mixing.
make you question
If
whether
this
we
world
truly
resembles
understand the
Neptune,
cosmos we
its
inhabit,
methane might
or
have
whether
the same
something out there
source.
is showing us just
But
how
ocean
little
world
we
models
actually know.
explain methane
The
differently.
discovery.
They
When
propose
routine becomes
biological
revolutionary,
production,
the Asteroid
with
Terrestrial
methanogens
Impact
creating
Last
methane
Alert
from
System
hydrogen and carbon
(ATLAS)
dioxide.
is designed to
Both
give humanity warning of
explanations fit the
incoming asteroids
observations,
that might threaten
making it
Earth.
hard to
4
distinguish
telescopes,
between them.
distributed
The
across
debate boils
Hawaii
down
and Chile,
to whether this
scan the
planet
entire
has a
visible
surface
sky every
and
24
oceans,
hours,
or
looking for
lacks
anything that moves
both.
against the background of stars.
Spectroscopy
On that
tells
August
us
night,
what chemicals
ATLAS
exist in the
HKO,
atmosphere.
the Hawaii
It does
Ko'olau
not directly
Observatory,
reveal what
captured
lies
an object
beneath.
in the constellation
We
Leo
infer
that showed
surface conditions
significant
from
motion
atmospheric
between
composition,
successive images
but
taken just minutes
inferences can be
apart.
wrong.
This alone wasn't
Multiple
unusual.
explanations can
Atlas
fit the
detects
same
dozens
data.
of moving
Breaking
objects
this
every night.
degeneracy
Most are
requires
known
additional
asteroids,
observations
some are
that
new
probe
discoveries.
deeper into the planet's
Occasionally,
nature.
there's something
What
more
happens
interesting.
when scientists
Dr. Robert
examine the
Weirich, the
mysterious
astronomer who
absence
also
of a
discovered
crucial
Oumuamua,
atmospheric
the
component?
first confirmed
The concept of
interstellar
Haitian
object in
worlds emerged in
2017,
2021
was reviewing the
from
night's data
theoretical
when
work led by researchers at
III/ATLAS
Cambridge.
appeared in
They
his
asked a
analysis
simple
queue.
question.
The object's high
Can
velocity
planets larger
immediately
than
caught
Earth
his
but
attention.
smaller than Neptune
It was moving
host
far too
liquid water
fast to be in a
oceans
bound
despite
orbit
having
around the Sun.
hydrogen atmospheres?
Weirich ran the numbers. The
Conventional
object's
wisdom said
velocity
no.
relative to the Sun's
Hydrogen
local standard of
atmospheres were
rest,
thought to
the
create
average motion
runaway
of stars in our
greenhouse
solar
effects,
neighborhood,
making
was
surfaces too
approximately
hot.
87
But
kilometers
detailed
per
modeling
second.
revealed a
For
different
comparison,
possibility.
objects
This is theoretical
gravitationally
work
bound to the Sun
based on
travel
established
at
climate
velocities
physics.
ranging from
The
about
key is
0 to
cloud
42
formation.
kilometers per
High in
second,
the
depending on
atmosphere,
their distance.
water vapor
Anything
and condensed
faster is
cannot
unbound
penetrate to
and will
support
eventually escape
photosynthesis
the
or
solar
heat
system.
the water.
But 87
Haitian
kilometers per
worlds
second
would
suggested
have surface
something more.
pressures
This wasn't
between
just an object
100
escaping
and
our solar system.
1,000 times
It was an object
Earth's
passing through from
atmospheric
somewhere else,
pressure.
an
That sounds
interstellar
crushing.
visitor.
But
After
Earth's
Oumuamua in
oceans already
2017
experienced such
and
pressures
II/Borisov
just a
in
few miles down.
2019,
Life thrives in the
III/Atlas
deep
would
ocean
be only the
despite
third
pressures
confirmed
over
interstellar
1,000
object
times
ever
surface
observed.
levels.
That
If
alone
life
made it
can handle those
scientifically
pressures
valuable,
in Earth's
but as
oceans,
observations
perhaps it
accumulated
could
over the
handle
following
them at a
hours and
Haitian
days,
surface,
it
where
became
the
clear
pressure
that
comes from atmosphere instead
III/ATLAS
of
was
water
far
depth.
more than just another
Temperature
interstellar
is the
comet.
trickier
It was something
constraint.
else
Water
entirely.
stays
The
liquid
impossible
between
trajectory.
0 and 100 degrees
Within
Celsius
48
at
hours
Earth's
of
surface
discovery,
pressure.
astronomers
But
had
at higher
collected enough
pressures,
position measurements
water
to
stays
calculate
liquid at higher temperatures.
III/ATLAS's orbit
At 100
with high
atmospheres
precision.
of pressure,
What they
water
found
boils
was
at
disturbing.
311 degrees
The object's
Celsius
trajectory
instead of
was
100.
hyperbolic, an open
At
curve that
200
would carry it
atmospheres,
through the inner solar
the boiling
system
point
and
rises
back out
to
into interstellar space,
365
never
degrees
to return.
Celsius.
This
is
matched
confirmed through
expectations for an
laboratory
interstellar
pressure
visitor,
temperature phase
but
diagrams
three
for
aspects
water.
of the orbit were
The upper
deeply
limit comes at the
problematic.
critical point of water.
Problem 1,
Above
the approach vector.
374 degrees Celsius
III/ATLAS was approaching the solar
221
system from the
atmospheres.
direction of the
Water
constellation
enters a
Lynx, from
supercritical
galactic
state,
coordinates that
where liquid
corresponded
and
to
gas phases merge.
nothing.
Supercritical
When Oumuamua
water has
arrived,
bizarre
its
properties.
trajectory traced
It
back
flows
roughly
like
to
a
the
gas,
direction
but
of Vega,
dissolves
a
substances
bright star
like a
about
liquid.
25
It
light
could
years away.
potentially support life.
While
But
Oumuamua
life
didn't
as we
come
know it
directly from
relies on the
Vega, the
distinct
timing didn't
properties
work.
of liquid water.
At least its origin
Going
direction contained
supercritical
plausible stellar
might make
sources.
habitability
2.
impossible.
I/Borisov's
models
trajectory
suggest
traced back
surface
toward the general
temperatures
direction of
between 10
Kruger
and
60,
70 degrees
a binary
Celsius
star system
are
13
possible
light
under
years
the
away.
right conditions.
Again, not Not a
That
direct
range
source, but
is
at least
compatible
pointing
with
toward
life.
known stars.
Earth's hottest environments,
3.
like deep-sea
I/ATLAS's
hydrothermal
trajectory,
vents,
traced back
reach
to a
over
region of space
100 degrees
containing no
Celsius
nearby
and
stars.
host thriving bacterial
The closest
communities.
stellar system
If
in that
Haitian
direction
oceans stay
is
cooler
over
than
300
that, life
light-years
seems
away.
plausible.
If 3
establishing those
I/ATLAS came
temperatures
from there,
requires
it
precise
would have been travelling
balancing
through
of
interstellar
greenhouse
space for
warming and
approximately
cloud
10
cooling.
million
The
years.
hydrogen atmosphere serves
But the object
multiple
showed no
roles.
signs of such
It
extreme
provides
age.
greenhouse warming
Its
to
surface
prevent
appeared
freezing.
relatively fresh,
It protects
with
from harmful
spectroscopic
space
features
radiation.
suggesting active
It offers
outgassing,
metabolic fuel
something only
for
observed in young
hydrogen-using
comets,
organisms.
not
But it
objects
also blocks
exposed to cosmic
ultraviolet
radiation
light
for
that
millions
drives
of years.
photosynthesis on Earth.
Dr. Michelle
Piscean life
Bannister, a
might need to
planetary
adapt to
astronomer at the
dimmer,
University
redder
of
light
Canterbury,
that
was
penetrates
among
the
the first
atmosphere.
to notice
Red
this
dwarf
discrepancy.
stars emit mostly red and
It's coming
infrared
from a
light
stellar
anyway,
desert.
so this
If it
might
truly
not be a
originated
problem.
from the nearest
Nutrient
system in that
availability
direction,
poses
it
another
should be
challenge.
dead, a
On
dormant,
Earth,
radiation dark
continental
and
weathering
hulk.
releases
Instead,
minerals
it's
into
acting
rivers
like a fresh
that flow
comet
to
that just
oceans.
left its birth system.
These minerals provide
These
nutrients
two
for
facts
marine
are
life.
irreconcilable.
Piscean worlds
Problem
might lack
2,
continents
the velocity
entirely.
anomaly.
Without
87
weathering,
kilometers per
how do
second is
nutrients
fast,
reach the
but not
ocean?
impossibly so
Perhaps
for an
volcanic
interstellar
activity
object.
on the seafloor
Stars in our
releases
galactic
minerals
neighborhood have
directly
typical
into
velocities
water.
of 20
Perhaps
to
the
30
ocean is
kilometers per
supplied from
second
below,
relative to
with
the Sun,
chemicals seeping
and
up
objects
from the rocky
ejected from
mantle
those
beneath.
systems
One
would carry
intriguing
similar
prediction
velocities, plus
is
whatever
that
boost
Piscean
they
worlds
received from
should show
gravitational
specific
slingshots.
atmospheric signatures.
But as astronomers
High
refined
methane
their
levels
measurements,
from
they
biological
noticed
production,
something odd.
high carbon
3
dioxide from volcanic
I/ATLAS's velocity
outgassing,
wasn't
or
constant.
biological
It was
respiration,
changing in ways that couldn't be
detectable
explained
water
by the
vapor,
sun's gravity
and
alone.
potentially biosignature
Objects in
gases
space
like
follow
dimethyl
Newton's
sulfide
laws.
or methyl
A comet
chloride.
or asteroid
This
moves
ocean
according
world
to
matches
gravitational
the
forces
predicted
acting on
pattern
it,
almost perfectly.
primarily the sun's gravity,
The alignment
with
between
minor
prediction
perturbations
and
from
observation
planets.
is what excites
These forces
researchers.
are predictable and
How might
calculable.
thick atmospheres
3
create stable
I/ATLAS
conditions?
was accelerating,
Greenhouse
not by
effects
much,
get a
just a
bad
few
reputation.
millimeters per second per day.
Climate change
this
discussions
acceleration was
focus
real
on
and
runaway
consistent,
greenhouse warming
observed
as
independently
catastrophic.
by multiple teams
But
using different
greenhouse
instruments.
effects are not inherently bad.
Oumuamua had
They
shown
are what
similar
make
anomalous
Earth habitable
acceleration,
in the first
leading to
place.
months of debate
Without
about
our
whether it
natural
was natural,
greenhouse effect,
outgassing from a
Earth's average
comet-like object,
temperature would be
or
minus
artificial
18
light sail
degrees
pressure,
Celsius.
or alien
The
propulsion.
oceans would freeze solid.
The consensus eventually
Instead,
settled on outgassing
greenhouse
as the most
gases
likely
keep us at a
explanation,
comfortable
though
plus
the debate
15
never fully
degrees
resolved.
Celsius. This is
But
basic
3
atmospheric physics,
I/ATLAS's acceleration was
confirmed
different.
through decades
It
of
was
measurements.
stronger
The
than
mechanism is
Oumuamua's by a factor
straightforward.
of 3,
Sunlight
directionally
passes through
weird,
the atmosphere
not aligned
and
with the
warms
sun's
surface.
direction as radiation
The warm
pressure would
surface
produce.
radiates energy
Intermittent,
back as
turning on
infrared
and off
light.
in ways that matched
Greenhouse
no known
gases
physical
absorb this
process.
infrared.
Dr.
trapping
Daryl
heat in
Seligman
the
at
lower
Cornell
atmosphere.
University,
The
who
gases
studies
eventually
interstellar objects,
re-radiate
was
the
puzzled.
energy, but some
If
goes
this is
back down
outgassing,
toward the
it's
surface.
the strangest
This
outgassing we've
creates
ever
a warming
seen.
effect.
The acceleration
More
vector
greenhouse
changes
gas means
direction.
more warming.
It pulses.
The relationship is not
It's
linear,
almost as if the object
but it is predictable.
steering.
On Earth,
I know how that sounds,
carbon
but I don't have a
dioxide
better
and
word
water
for what we're
vapor
observing.
provide most of the greenhouse
Problem 3.
effect.
The orbital
Methane
insertion.
and nitrous oxide
The most
contribute
disturbing
smaller
aspect of
amounts.
3
These gases work
I/ATLAS's
because their
trajectory
molecular
emerged from a
structures
detailed
absorb
reconstruction of
infrared
its path
wavelengths.
through the solar system.
Not all gases do this.
Interstellar
Nitrogen
objects
and
typically
oxygen,
follow simple
which make up
hyperbolic
most of our
paths.
atmosphere,
They
are
approach from interstellar
transparent
space,
to infrared.
curve around the sun,
They do not
or pass
contribute
through
to
the inner
greenhouse warming.
solar system
Hydrogen
if their trajectory
and helium
brings them close
are
enough,
similarly
and
transparent.
head back out to
You
interstellar
need
space,
other
never to
molecules
return.
mixed in. This ocean
3
world's hydrogen atmosphere
I/ATLAS
does not
should have
trap
done the
much
same.
heat directly.
Its velocity
but
and
it
approach
contains
angle
about
should have carried it
1%
through the inner
methane
solar
and
system
1%
on a one-time
carbon
flyby
dioxide.
trajectory.
That might
Instead,
not sound like much,
careful analysis
is
revealed
enough.
that 3
Earth's atmosphere contains
I/ATLAS
only
had
400
made a close
parts
approach
per
to
million
Jupiter,
carbon dioxide,
approximately 3 months
which is
before its discovery,
0.04%.
an encounter that
This
significantly
distant
altered
planet
its
has
trajectory.
25
This
times
happens
more carbon
occasionally with
dioxide
interstellar
than
objects.
Earth.
Gravitational
Methane
interactions with planets
is an even
can
more
change their
powerful
paths.
greenhouse gas
Oumuamua's
than carbon
trajectory
dioxide.
was slightly altered by its
Molecule for
passage through the
molecule.
inner solar system.
1% methane
But 3
provides serious warming.
I/ATLAS's
Here is
Jupiter
where
encounter
hydrogen
was
becomes
extraordinary.
important.
The planet's gravity
sheer
had slowed
mass
the
of
object
the
just
hydrogen
enough to place
atmosphere
it in a highly
increases
elliptical
the pressure
but
at the
temporarily
surface.
bound orbit
Higher
around the
pressure
Sun.
means denser
Dr. Fatih
air.
Namouni at the
Denser air
Observatoire
holds
de la
more
Côte
heat.
d'Azur
It also
ran the
slows the
simulations
escape
dozens of
infrared
times, checking for
radiation.
errors.
Photons
The probability
trying to
of this
leave the
happening by
planet
chance
get
is
absorbed and
infinitesimally
re-emitted
small.
multiple
For an
times
interstellar
before
object to have
finally
exactly
making
the
it
right
to space.
velocity, angle,
Each
and
absorption
timing
emission
to
cycle
encounter
delays
Jupiter
heat
in a way
loss.
that captures it
The
into
result
solar
is
orbit.
that even though
We're talking
hydrogen
about
itself
1 in a
does not
billion
trap
odds.
infrared
It's not
well,
impossible,
a thick
but it's
hydrogen
so improbable
atmosphere still
that we have to
creates
consider
significant
alternatives.
greenhouse warming
What
through
alternatives?
pressure effects
The
alone.
uncomfortable
Models
implication
show
was
that a
that
hydrogen
3
atmosphere containing
I/ATLAS's
1% carbon
trajectory
dioxide
might not be
and
entirely
1%
natural,
methane
either
can
through
maintain
extraordinary
surface
luck
temperatures
or
warm
deliberate
enough for
intent.
liquid water,
The object had
even on a
inserted
planet
itself
receiving
into an
less
orbit that would
starlight
keep
than
it in the inner solar
This
system for
extends the
decades
habitable zone
before
outward
eventually
from the star.
escaping.
Planets that would be
impossible
too
chemistry.
cold with Earth-like
While
atmospheres
orbital
become warm
dynamicists
enough
puzzled
with
over
hydrogen
3
atmospheres. It flips
I/ATLAS's
conventional
trajectory,
thinking about where to look for life.
spectroscopists were
But there
discovering
is a
something
catch.
even
The
stranger.
greenhouse effect
The
must
object's
be strong,
composition
but not
made
too
no
strong.
sense.
Venus demonstrates
Spectroscopy
what
is
happens
astronomy's
when
most
greenhouse
powerful
warming goes
tool
out of
for
control.
determining what objects
Venus
are made of.
receives twice
When
the
sunlight
sunlight
reflects off a
Earth
comet
does
or asteroid,
and has a
certain
crushing carbon
wavelengths
dioxide
are absorbed by
atmosphere.
molecules on the
Surface
surface.
temperatures reach
These absorption
470
lines
degrees
create a unique
Celsius,
fingerprint,
hot enough to
revealing
melt
the
lead.
object's
The
chemistry.
greenhouse
Comets
effect ran
typically
away.
show water
All
ice,
water
carbon
evaporated,
dioxide,
creating more
methane,
greenhouse
ammonia,
gas,
and various
creating more
organic
warming,
compounds,
creating
the
more
frozen
evaporation.
remnants of the solar
A
system's
positive
formation.
feedback loop
Asteroids
with no
show
braking
silicate
mechanism.
minerals,
This
metals,
ocean world
and sometimes
sits
carbon
right on the
compounds,
edge.
depending on
Computer
whether they're
models
rocky,
show that
S-type,
small changes
metallic,
in
M-type,
atmospheric composition
or carbonaceous,
cloud cover
C-type.
could push it into
3
runaway greenhouse territory.
I/ATLAS
If clouds
showed none
fail
of
to
the
form,
above. The
surface
spectral
temperatures
nightmare.
spike.
Dr.
Water
Alan
evaporates,
Fitzsimmons at Queen's
creating
University
more greenhouse
Belfast
warming.
was the first to
Once
obtain a
started,
high-quality
the process
spectrum of
might be
3
irreversible.
I/ATLAS
Alternatively,
using the
if
William
clouds
Herschel
become too
telescope
thick,
in La
they
Palma,
block too
Spain.
much starlight.
What he saw made him
Surface
check his
temperatures
equipment.
drop.
At
Water
first,
freezes.
I thought we had a
Frozen
calibration error.
surfaces reflect
The spectrum
more light,
was unlike anything
creating
I'd
more
seen in
cooling.
30 years
Another
of observing
runaway
comets and
process,
asteroids.
but in the opposite
It
direction.
wasn't just unusual,
The fact that this
it was
planet
wrong.
apparently
The spectrum
maintains
showed
stable conditions
absorption bands that didn't
suggests a
match any
balancing
known
mechanism.
molecule.
Perhaps
Spectroscopy
biological
databases contain the
processes
signatures of
help
thousands of
stabilize
molecules,
climate.
from simple water
On
and
Earth,
methane to
phytoplankton
complex
produce
organics.
dimethyl sulfide,
3
which seeds clouds.
I/ATLAS
More warming
showed absorption
means more
features that didn't
phytoplankton.
correspond to
More
anything in the
phytoplankton
databases.
means more dimethyl
Impossible
sulfide.
molecular
More
combinations.
dimethyl sulfide
Some of the
means
features
more
that could be
clouds.
identified corresponded
clouds
to
mean
molecules
more
that shouldn't
cooling.
coexist.
This negative
It's like
feedback
finding
might
ice and
prevent
lava
runaway
in the same
warming.
place.
The same mechanism could
Thermodynamically
work on this
contradictory.
ocean world.
Metallic
If so,
signatures in the wrong
life
place.
would not just exist
The
there.
spectrum showed signs
Life
of
would
metals,
actively regulate
iron,
the planet's
nickel,
climate,
aluminum,
making it
but
habitable.
mixed with organic
Why does the
compounds in ways
absence of
that don't
ammonia
occur
split
naturally.
scientific opinion?
Metals and
Ammonia
organics
should be
separate
there.
during planetary
Multiple
formation.
models predict
Finding them intimately
Yet
mixed
observations
suggests
show no
either
trace.
exotic formation
This
conditions
absence has
or
become
artificial
one of the most
processing.
debated aspects
Variable
of this
chemistry.
planet's atmosphere.
The spectrum changed
Ammonia
over
is
time,
nitrogen
sometimes
and
dramatically.
hydrogen combined.
Over hours,
Formula
certain
written
absorption
as
lines
one
would
nitrogen
strengthen or
atom
weaken,
bonded to 3
suggesting
hydrogen
chemical
atoms.
changes happening
In a
in real time.
hydrogen-rich atmosphere,
Natural objects are
receiving
chemically
energy
stable.
from starlight
They don't
or lightning.
spontaneously alter their
Ammonia
composition.
formation is
Dr.
expected.
Karen Meach at the University
This is
of Hawaii,
confirmed chemistry,
who has studied interstellar
observed in
objects
laboratory
extensively,
experiments
tried to
and
make
in
sense
gas
of the
giant
data.
atmospheres in
Every
our solar
explanation
system.
we come up with
Jupiter
requires
has
special
ammonia.
pleading.
So does
Maybe
Saturn,
it formed in a completely
Uranus,
different
and
kind of
Neptune.
stellar system with different
Wherever
chemistry.
you find hydrogen
Maybe it's been
and
through some
nitrogen
process we
together
don't
with enough
understand.
energy to drive
Maybe our
reactions,
instruments are lying to us.
ammonia
None of
appears.
these is satisfying.
Spectroscopic
The isotope
observations
anomaly.
of these planets
High-resolution
show strong
spectroscopy
ammonia
revealed an even
absorption
deeper
features.
mystery. The
No one
isotopic
questions
ratios
whether
in
ammonia
3
is there. The question is why it
I/ATLAS's
is missing
composition
from this
were wrong.
ocean world when it
Isotopes
should
are
be
variants
present.
of elements
One
with different numbers of
explanation
neutrons.
invokes
For
biological
instance,
consumption.
carbon-12,
Some
6
bacteria
protons,
on Earth
6 neutrons,
metabolize
and
ammonia as an
carbon-13,
energy source.
6 protons, 7
Nitrifying
neutrons,
bacteria
are both
convert
carbon,
ammonia
but
to
with slightly
nitrite,
different masses.
then nitrate.
The ratios of
They gain
isotopes
energy
provide
from
crucial
these
information
reactions.
about where
In
and
an
how
ocean
materials
full of such
formed.
bacteria,
Our solar system
ammonia
has
could be
characteristic
removed from the
isotopic
atmosphere
signatures,
as
created
fast
by
as
the
it
specific
forms.
mix of
The
supernova
ocean
remnants
acts
and
as a
stellar
sink.
winds that formed the solar
Atmospheric
nebula
ammonia
4.6 billion
dissolves
years ago.
into water.
Different star
Bacteria
systems should have
consume
different
it.
isotopic
More
signatures
atmospheric
based on their
ammonia
formation
dissolves
histories.
to replace
3
what was consumed. An
I/ATLAS's
equilibrium
isotope ratios
establishes
didn't
where
match our
ammonia
solar systems.
concentrations
That was
stay near
expected
zero.
for an interstellar
This
object,
explanation
but they
fits
also
the
didn't
ocean
match
world
any plausible
hypothesis
stellar
nicely.
nucleosynthesis models.
It
The
requires
carbon-12
life,
to
but
carbon-13
life is what
ratio
the dimethyl
was far
sulfide
higher than any
signal
natural
suggests
stellar
anyway.
process produces.
The two pieces
The
of
oxygen
evidence
isotopes were
support
distributed
each
in
other.
ways that required
Biological
simultaneous exposure to
metabolism
multiple different
explains
stellar
both the
environments.
presence of
The
dimethyl
nitrogen
sulfide
isotopes
and
suggested
the
formation
absence of
temperatures that would
ammonia.
vaporize the
It
organic
creates a
molecules that were clearly
self-consistent
present.
picture,
Dr.
but
Connell
it requires
Alexander at the
assuming
Carnegie
life
Institution for
exists,
Science
which is
spent
what
weeks running
scientists are
models.
trying to
I
prove.
can't build a plausible
Circular
stellar
reasoning
environment that produces
becomes a
these
risk.
ratios.
The alternative
I've tried hundreds of
explanation
scenarios,
invokes chemistry
different star
without
masses,
biology.
different
If the
metallicities,
surface is
different
molten
supernova
rock,
contributions.
nitrogen dissolves
Nothing
into
works.
the magma.
It's as if this object's
Experimental
materials
studies of
formed in a
volcanic
universe
systems
with different nuclear
show that
physics.
at high temperatures
The
and
impossible
pressures,
structure.
nitrogen
As 3
partitions into melt
I/ATLAS
phases
approached
rather than staying
perihelion,
in the gas
its
phase.
closest point to
A
the Sun,
magma ocean
in late
would
September
suck nitrogen
2024,
out of the atmosphere.
conditions became
Without
favorable for
atmospheric
high-resolution
nitrogen,
imaging.
ammonia cannot
Multiple
form.
teams used
The
adaptive
absence
optic
of
systems
ammonia
on the world's
becomes
largest
evidence for a
telescopes
magma ocean
to resolve the
rather than
object's
a
shape
water
and
ocean.
structure.
This
What they saw
explanation
defied
fits the
planetary
magma
science.
ocean hypothesis
The geometric
nicely.
perfection
It
Dr.
requires
Beatrice
no life.
Müller at the
It
European Southern
explains the missing
Observatory
ammonia
used the
through
very large
straightforward
telescope's
chemistry,
SPHERE
but it struggles to
instrument
explain the
to
dimethyl
capture images of
sulfide. As discussed earlier,
three-ATLAS
magma
at resolution
ocean models
better
can
than 50
produce small
kilometers per
amounts of
pixel,
dimethyl sulfide
enough to discern the
through
object's
abiotic
overall
chemistry.
shape. Natural
Whether
objects,
they can produce
asteroids
enough
and comets,
remains
are irregular.
questionable.
They're
The
rubble
magma
piles,
ocean
chunks of rock
hypothesis
and ice held together
explains
by
one
weak
mystery,
gravity,
while
shaped by
struggling with
billions
another.
of years of
There is a
collisions.
third
They're
possibility
lumpy,
rarely discussed.
asymmetric, and
Maybe the
chaotic.
spectroscopic observations simply missed the
Three-ATLAS was
ammonia.
geometrically regular.
Ammonia has
The
absorption
images showed an
features at
elongated
specific
object with an
wavelengths.
aspect ratio of
If
approximately
those
8 to
wavelengths
1,
were not observed,
like a cigar
or
or a
if
football.
noise obscured the
This wasn't
signal,
unprecedented.
ammonia could be
Oumuamua had
present
a similar
but
shape,
undetected.
leading to much speculation
However,
about whether it
the
might be
James Webb
artificial.
Space
But
Telescope
3
observed multiple
tonight
wavelength
LAS's
ranges.
shape was far
The
more
instruments
regular
have
than
sufficient
Oumuamua's.
sensitivity to
The long
detect
axis was
ammonia
straight to
at
within
expected
measurement precision.
concentrations.
The cross-section
Multiple
appeared
research
circular,
teams
not
analyzed the
elliptical.
data
The
independently.
ends were symmetrically
All
tapered.
reached the same
It looks
conclusion.
machined,
No
Müller
ammonia.
said in a press conference.
The missing ammonia
then
forces
immediately tried to
scientists
walk
to
the
choose
statement
between
back.
competing scenarios.
What I mean is, it
Either
shows a
life
degree of
consumes it,
symmetry
or
that's
magma
highly
absorbs
unusual
it,
for a
or
natural
some
object.
third unknown
There are probably
process
natural
removes it.
explanations.
Each
Perhaps
choice
it's a
leads
shard
down
from a
a
larger
different
collision
path
that
for
fractured along
understanding this
crystal
world.
planes.
Ocean
But it's
world with
definitely
life,
remarkable.
magma
The
ocean
surface
without
features.
life,
As
or something entirely
3-ATLAS
unexpected.
rotated,
The scientific
with a period
community
of
remains
approximately
split.
6.7 hours,
Some researchers
different
strongly
faces became
favor the
visible.
biological explanation.
Spectroscopic imaging revealed that
Others
different
lean
regions had
toward
markedly
magma
different
oceans.
compositions,
A third group
organized
argues
into
the
distinct
data
patches
remains
rather
too
than random
ambiguous to
variation.
choose. What they all
One
agree
hemisphere
on
appeared to be
is that more
primarily
observations
silicate-based,
are desperately
rocky
needed
material
to break
similar
the
to
deadlock.
asteroids. The
Imagine an
opposite
ocean
hemisphere
where
was
every drop
dominated
of
by
water
organic compounds,
contains 1,000
carbon-rich
times more
materials more
microbes
typical
than
of
Earth's
comets.
most productive
Between these
seas.
regions was a distinct
That
boundary,
is what the
not a
numbers
gradual
demand.
transition,
The
but a
dimethyl
sharp
sulfide
demarcation visible in
concentrations observed
spectroscopic
require
maps.
staggering amounts
Natural
of
objects
biological
don't
activity.
organize themselves this way.
On Earth,
Differentiation,
phytoplankton
where heavy
float in
materials sink
sunlit
to the core
surface
while lighter
waters,
materials rise
about
to the
top
surface,
600 feet
can create
where light
compositional layers in
penetrates.
planets,
Below
but it
that,
produces gradual
darkness
gradients,
reigns.
not sharp boundaries.
Photosynthesis stops.
And
On this ocean
3-ATLAS
world,
was far too
the
small for
same depth limit
differentiation.
would apply.
It was only about
unless
800
something
meters long and
changes the
perhaps
rules.
100 meters
One
across,
possibility
too
is
small
simply
for
density.
internal heat and pressure to
Earth's
cause materials
oceans
to
contain
separate.
roughly 1 million bacterial
Dr. Margaret
cells
Campbell
per
Brown
milliliter
at
of
Western
seawater.
University studied
That
the
sounds
surface
like a
imagery.
lot, until you
It's
consider
almost
that
as if
fertile
someone took
soil
two different
contains 1
objects,
billion
a
cells
stony
per gram.
asteroid and a
Ocean
carbonaceous
water
comet,
is relatively
and welded them
sparse
together.
in microbial life.
I'm not saying
compared
that's
to
what
other
happened,
environments.
but I don't have a
Perhaps
natural
this
explanation
distant
for this
ocean
kind of
is more like
compositional
fertile
boundary in an
soil,
object this small.
dense bacterial mats
The anomalous
floating in the
albedo.
water column.
Albedo
Thick
measures how much light an
biofilms
object
coating every
reflects.
available surface.
Comets and asteroids typically have
Microbial
low
density
albedos.
1,000
dark,
times
reflecting
higher
only
than
3 to
Earth's
10% of
oceans.
incident sunlight
This is speculation,
because they're covered in
but the
radiation-darkened
math requires
organics
it.
and
Another
space-weathered
possibility
minerals.
involves different organisms entirely.
3-ATLAS
On
had
Earth,
regions with an albedo
dimethyl
of
sulfide comes
approximately
primarily from
0.6,
eukaryotic
meaning it
phytoplankton,
reflected 60% of
organisms
incident
with
light.
complex cells
That's comparable
containing
to fresh
nuclei
snow or
and
clouds.
organelles.
No
These
natural space
evolved
object has
relatively
such a high
late in Earth's
albedo
history,
unless it's covered in
about 2
fresh ice.
billion years ago.
But
Before that,
3-ATLAS's
simpler
high
bacteria dominated.
albedo regions weren't icy.
Perhaps this ocean world
Spectroscopy
hosts
ruled that out.
bacteria that
They were
produce
some kind of
dimethyl
highly reflective
sulfide through
material
different
that
metabolic
didn't correspond to
pathways.
any mineral or compound in
Bacteria can
spectroscopic
evolve quickly,
databases.
adapting to local
It's almost
conditions
like parts
within
of the object
thousands
are
of
covered in
generations.
mirrors, noted
An
Dr.
ocean
Hector
full of
Socas
dimethyl
Navarro
sulfide
at the
producing
Instituto de
bacteria
Astrofísica de
could generate
Canarias.
the observed
I
concentrations.
can't think of any
The
natural
hydrogen
material that
atmosphere
would produce
opens
this kind
unique
of
metabolic
reflectance with this spectral
possibilities.
signature.
Some Earth
It's
bacteria
bizarre.
called methanogens
The impossible
combine
signals.
hydrogen gas with carbon dioxide
As observations
to produce
continued
methane.
into October
They gain energy from
2024,
this reaction.
radio
It
astronomers
works
began
well in
monitoring
environments without oxygen.
3-ATLAS
Perhaps
across
similar
multiple
organisms
frequencies.
on this ocean world
The Breakthrough Listen
combine
project,
hydrogen with
a
sulfur
SETI initiative
compounds
searching for
to
signs of
produce
extraterrestrial
dimethyl
technology,
sulfide directly.
had observed both
This would
Oumuamua
be more
and
efficient than Earth's
2-Borisov
pathway,
and
where
detected nothing
dimethyl
unusual.
sulfide forms as a byproduct rather than a
3-ATLAS was
primary
different.
metabolic product.
The radio
Temperature
excess Dr.
matters
Andrew
too.
Simeon,
Warmer
director
water
of the Berkeley
means
SETI
faster
Research Center,
metabolism.
used the
Chemical
Greenback
reactions
telescope to
roughly
observe
double in speed for every 10
3-ATLAS across
degrees
frequencies
Celsius
from
increase
1
in
to 12
temperature.
gigahertz.
If this
The range
ocean
where interstellar
surface
communication would
averages
be most
30
efficient.
degrees degrees Celsius
low noise,
compared
good
to
propagation.
Earth's 4 degrees.
Natural
Reactions
objects
proceed
emit radio
about
waves
8
through thermal
times faster.
radiation. They
8
glow in
times
radio
faster
frequencies,
metabolism
the way hot
means 8
objects glow in
times more
infrared.
dimethyl sulfide production
This emission
per
is
cell.
predictable based on the object's
Multiply that
temperature
by
and
higher
size.
cell density, and
3.
you start reaching the required
I/ATLS
production
emitted
rates.
far more radio
There is also
energy
the
than its
question
temperature and
of
size predicted,
evolutionary pressure.
about 100
On
times
Earth,
more.
Phytoplankton
At first I
produce
thought we were seeing reflected signals,
dimethylsulfoneopropionate
radio
to
transmissions
regulate
from Earth
salt
bouncing
balance.
off the object,
The dimethyl
Simeon explained.
sulfide is accidental.
But the frequencies
What if
didn't match any
organisms on
terrestrial
this world
transmitters,
use dimethyl
and the intensity
sulfide
was
for
too high to be
communication?
explained by reflection
Bacteria
from an
on
object
Earth
this small.
use chemical signals
The
to
excess was
coordinate
broadband,
behavior,
spread
a
across a
process
wide
called
range of
quorum
frequencies,
sensing.
making
When
it
enough
harder to
bacteria
dismiss as a
gather in one
narrow-band
place,
signal from a
their
specific
chemical
source.
signals reach threshold
certain
concentrations
frequencies showed
that trigger
particularly
collective
strong emission,
responses. Perhaps
creating peaks in
dimethyl
the radio
sulfide
spectrum that
serves
didn't
this function
correspond to any known natural
with organisms
process.
deliberately producing
The
it in
modulation
large
pattern.
quantities. Energy
Over several
availability
nights of
drives
observation,
biological
something
productivity.
even stranger
On
emerged.
Earth,
The radio emission
photosynthesis
wasn't
captures
constant.
sunlight
It
and
varied with a
converts it
precise
to chemical
period of
energy
6.7
that
hours,
powers the food chain.
exactly matching
This
3
ocean world receives similar
I/ATLS's
amounts of
rotation
starlight
period.
as Earth. The red
This could
dwarf
be
star
explained naturally if
emits
the
more
object's
red
surface
and
had regions
infrared
with
light
different radio
compared to our
emissivity
sun's
that
broader
came into
spectrum.
view as the object
But some
rotated.
Earth organisms
variation was
photosynthesize
too
using
structured.
red light efficiently.
The signal consisted of
Purple
a complex
bacteria
pattern of
and
peaks
some
and troughs that repeated
cyanobacteria
every
thrive
rotation.
in red-dominated
Dr.
environments.
Sophia Sheikh,
Life,
a postdoctoral
there might have
researcher
adapted
at the
similarly.
SETI Institute,
Nutrient availability
analysed the
is
timing.
equally important.
The pattern is too
On
regular
Earth,
to be noise,
upwelling
but too
brings
complex
nutrients
to
from
be a
deep
simple
water to the
rotation
surface,
effect.
fueling
There are
productive
substructures,
regions like the California
variations
coast
within the
and the
6.7
waters
hour
around
period
Antarctica.
that seem to repeat
Without
with their own
continents to create
periodicity.
coastal upwelling,
She
this
ran the
ocean
data
world
through
might rely on
analysis
different
algorithms
mechanisms.
designed to detect
Perhaps
structure in radio
volcanic
signals.
activity on the seafloor
The
releases
result was
nutrients
unsettling.
directly into the water
The signal
column.
had a complexity
Perhaps
measure consistent
strong
with information
tidal
carrying
forces from the
transmissions,
nearby star
not natural
create
emissions.
mixing that brings deep
I want to be
nutrients
very
to the
clear,
surface.
Sheikh emphasized.
Either way,
This
high
doesn't mean it is an
productivity
artificial
requires
signal.
high nutrient supply.
Natural
But
processes
could
can
life
create complex
even
patterns.
survive the temperature
Pulsars
swings
have
this
incredibly
planet
regular
experiences?
signals, and
Life
they're
on
completely
Earth
natural.
survives
This
astonishing
bears
extremes.
further investigation.
Bacteria
Between these
thrive
regions
in
was a
boiling
distinct
hot
boundary,
springs at Yellowstone,
not a gradual
where
transition,
water
but a
reaches
sharp
90 degrees
demarcation
Celsius.
visible in spectroscopic
Other
maps.
organisms survive in Antarctic
Natural objects
ice
don't organize
at
themselves
minus
this
40
way.
degrees Celsius.
Differentiation, where heavy
Tardigrades,
materials sink to the core while
microscopic
lighter
animals
materials
called
rise to the
water
surface,
bears,
can
endure
create compositional
temperatures
layers
from
in
near
planets,
absolute zero
but it produces
to
gradual
150
gradients,
degrees
not
Celsius.
sharp boundaries.
Life is
And
tougher
3
than most people realize.
I/ATLS was far too
These
small for
extremes
differentiation.
are confirmed through
It was only
direct
about 800
observation
meters long
and
and perhaps
laboratory
100
testing.
meters across,
But this ocean
too small
world
for internal
might
heat and
push
pressure to
even
cause
beyond
materials to
Earth's
separate.
extremes. Climate
Dr.
models
Margaret
show
Campbell Brown
that
at Western
depending on
University
atmospheric
studied the
conditions,
surface imagery.
surface temperatures
It's
could
almost
range
as if
from
someone
10
took
degrees
two
Celsius
different objects,
to over
a
70
stony
degrees
asteroid
Celsius.
and a carbonaceous
The
comet,
elliptical orbit
and welded them
causes
together.
variations throughout
I'm not saying
each
that's what happened,
33-day year.
but I don't have a natural
At closest
explanation for this
approach to
kind
the
of
star,
compositional boundary in an
temperatures
object
spike.
this small.
At farthest distance,
The anomalous
they
albedo.
drop. The
Albedo
difference
measures how much
might
light an
exceed
object
20
reflects.
degrees Celsius.
Comets and
between
asteroids
orbital
typically have
extremes.
low albedos.
Any life
They're
there
dark,
must
reflecting
handle
only
these
3 to
swings
10% of
or
incident
find
sunlight
ways to avoid
because they're covered in
Earth
radiation
organisms
darkened
use
organics
several
and
strategies
space
for
weathered
temperature
minerals.
tolerance.
3
Some enter dormancy during
I/ATLS had
unfavorable
regions with an
conditions.
albedo of
Bacterial
approximately
spores can
0.6,
survive for thousands
meaning
of
it
years
reflected
in
60%
suspended
of incident
animation,
light.
waiting
That's
for
comparable
conditions
to
to
fresh
improve.
snow or clouds.
When temperatures become
No natural
favorable
space
again,
object has such
they
a high
reactivate
albedo
and
unless it's
resume
covered in
growth.
fresh ice.
Perhaps organisms
But
on
3
this ocean world
I/ATLS's
sporulate
high
during
albedo
temperature
regions
extremes,
weren't icy.
then bloom
Spectroscopy
during moderate
ruled that
periods. This would
They were some
create
kind of
cycles
highly
of
reflective
biological
material
activity
that didn't correspond
synchronized
to
with
any
the
mineral
orbit.
or compound in
Other
spectroscopic
organisms use
databases.
biochemical adaptations.
It's almost like parts of
Proteins
the
fold
object are
into
covered in
specific
mirrors,
shapes to
noted
perform their
Dr. Hector
functions.
Socas Navarro
Temperature
at
affects
the
protein
Instituto de
stability.
Astrofísica de
Too
Canarias.
hot and proteins unfold.
I can't think of any natural
losing
material
function.
that would produce this
Too
kind of
cold and
reflectance with
enzymes
this
slow
spectral
down.
signature.
But
It's
thermophilic
bizarre.
organisms,
The
heat-loving
impossible
bacteria,
signals.
produce proteins
As observations
with extra
continued
chemical
into
bonds
October
that
2024,
stabilize structure at
radio
high
astronomers
temperatures.
began monitoring 3
Psychrophilic organisms,
I/ATLS
cold-loving
across
bacteria,
multiple frequencies.
use flexible proteins
The
that
Breakthrough
remain
Listen
active
project,
even when
a
cold.
SETI initiative
Life on
searching for
this
signs
ocean
of extraterrestrial
world might combine
technology,
both strategies,
had observed both
producing
Oumuamua
proteins
and 2
stable across wide
I/Borisov
temperature ranges.
and detected nothing
The ocean
unusual.
itself provides buffering.
3
Water has high
I/ATLS
heat
was
capacity,
different.
meaning
radio
it takes a
excess
lot
Dr.
of energy
Andrew
to
Simeon,
change its temperature.
director of the Berkeley
Large
SETI
bodies
Research
of water
Center,
warm slowly
used the green
and
bank
cool
telescope
slowly.
to observe 3
Even if air temperatures
I/ATLS
swing
across
wildly,
frequencies frequencies
Ocean
from 1 to
temperatures
12
remain more
gigahertz,
stable.
the range where
Earth's
interstellar
oceans
communication
show
would be
daily
most
temperature
efficient,
variations
low noise,
of just
good
1 or
propagation.
2 degrees at the surface.
Natural objects emit
Despite
radio
air
waves through
temperature
thermal
swings
radiation.
of 10 or
They glow
20
in radio
degrees.
frequencies,
An ocean on
the way
this
hot
distant
objects
world
glow in
would
infrared.
similarly buffer temperature
This emission is
changes,
predictable based on the
smoothing out
object's
the orbital
temperature and size.
variations. Depth offers
3.
another refuge.
I/ATLS emitted far more
Surface
radio
waters
energy than
fluctuate
its
in
temperature and
with
size
seasons
predicted,
and weather.
about
Deeper
100 times
waters
more.
remain stable year-round.
At first I thought we were
Below
seeing
about
reflected
600
signals,
feet,
radio
ocean
transmissions
temperature
from Earth
barely
bouncing
changes.
off the object.
It stays
Singing
around
explained.
4 degrees Celsius
But
in
the
most
frequencies
places,
didn't match any
regardless of what
terrestrial
happens at the
transmitters,
surface.
and the
Life
intensity
could
was too
retreat
high
to
to be
stable
explained
deep
by
water
reflection from
during
an object
temperature
this small.
extremes, then rise
The
to the
excess was
productive surface
broadband,
layer during
spread
favorable
across a
periods.
wide range of frequencies,
Vertical migration
making
is
it
common
harder
in
to
Earth's
dismiss as a
oceans.
narrow band
Many
signal
organisms
from a specific
descend
source.
during day and
But
rise at
certain
night,
frequencies
but
showed
extreme
particularly strong
temperatures
emission,
create another problem.
creating peaks in the
Chemical
radio
reaction
spectrum that
rates
didn't
change
correspond
with
to any
temperature,
known natural process.
not just biological reactions,
The modulation
but
pattern.
all chemistry.
Over
At
several
higher
nights of
temperatures,
observation,
dimethyl
something even
sulfide
stranger
breaks
emerged.
down faster.
The radio
At
emission
lower
wasn't
temperatures,
constant.
it persists
It varied
longer.
with a precise
The
period of
varying
6.7
lifetime
hours,
throughout the orbital
exactly
cycle
matching 3
complicates atmospheric modeling.
I/ATLS's rotation
Scientists
period.
must account for time-dependent
This could be explained
chemistry,
naturally if the
where
object's
reaction
surface
rates
had
shift
regions
as
with
the
different
planet
radio
moves along its
emissivity
elliptical
that came
path.
into view as
There is
the object
evidence that
rotated.
life adapts to cyclic
variation
extremes
was
better
too
than
structured.
constant extremes.
The signal
Organisms
consisted of a
can
complex
prepare for
pattern of
predictable
peaks and troughs
changes.
that repeated every
Before
rotation.
winter arrives,
Dr.
trees
Sophia
move
Sheikh,
nutrients
a
into their roots
postdoctoral
and
researcher
shed
at the
leaves.
SETI
Before
Institute,
dry season
analysed
comes,
the timing.
some fish bury
The pattern
themselves
is too
in
regular
mud
to be
and
noised,
enter
but
hibernation.
too complex to be
The
a simple
key
rotation
is
effect.
predictability. If the
There are
33-day
substructures,
cycle repeats
variations
reliably,
within the
life
6.7
could
hour
evolve
period
responses
that seem
triggered
to
by
repeat with their
environmental
own
cues,
periodicities.
like changing light intensity
She ran the
or
data
temperature.
through analysis
But
algorithms designed to
temperature
detect
is not
structure
the
in
only
radio
challenge this
signals.
planet presents.
The result was
What about the
unsettling.
day-night problem?
The signal
When
had
a
a
planet
complexity
orbits
measure
very
consistent
close to
with
its star,
information-carrying
gravitational
transmissions,
forces
not natural
reshape
emissions.
everything. The star
I want to
pulls
be very
harder
clear,
on the near
Sheikh
side
emphasized.
than the far side.
This doesn't mean it is
This
an
difference
artificial
in pull,
signal.
called tidal
Natural
force,
processes can create
creates
complex
friction
patterns.
inside the planet.
Pulsars have
Over
incredibly regular
millions of
signals,
years,
and they're
this
completely
friction
natural.
slows the planet's
But this
rotation.
bears further investigation.
Eventually,
Have
the
unusual
planet
chemistry,
rotates
strange
at exactly
structures,
the same
or odd
rate it
trajectories.
orbits. One
We
side
just haven't observed
permanently
enough of
faces
them
the
to
star.
know.
The other side
She argued
faces
for
eternal
patience.
darkness.
In 5 years,
This is
we'll have
confirmed
detected
physics,
dozens more
observed
interstellar
throughout
objects.
our solar system.
We'll have
Our
much
moon
better
is tidally
statistics.
locked to Earth.
We'll understand the
The
range
same
of properties
side
they can
always
have.
faces us.
Then
We
we'll
never
be
see
able to
the
say
far
whether
side from
3
Earth without spacecraft.
I/ATLAS
Mercury
is
is
truly
nearly tidally
anomalous
locked to the
or
sun,
just unusual.
rotating 3 times for every
The public
2
reaction.
orbits. Most
News of
planets
3
orbiting close to red dwarfs are
I/ATLAS's strange
expected to be
properties
fully
inevitably
tidally
leaked to the
locked.
public.
The
Though
timescale
astronomers
depends
tried
on
to frame the
distance,
findings
planet
carefully.
mass, and
Initial
internal
media
structure.
coverage was
For
restrained.
this ocean world,
Unusual
orbiting
interstellar
just
object
13 million
puzzles
miles from its
astronomers,
star,
and
tidal
strange
locking
comet raises
almost
questions
certainly
about
occurred
alien
within
star
the first few
systems.
100 million years.
But as more
This
details
is
emerged,
theoretical, but
especially the
strongly
radio
supported by
signals and the
calculations.
geometric
Tidal
regularity,
locking
coverage
creates
became
dramatic
more sensational.
consequences. The day
Is this
side
comet
receives
actually an
constant
alien
starlight,
spacecraft? And
never experiencing
scientists
night.
detect radio signals
Temperatures
from
there remain
interstellar
high
objects.
continuously.
The
night
astronomical
side
community
receives no
scrambled
direct
to provide
starlight
context.
ever,
Press
remaining
releases
frozen.
emphasized
Between
uncertainty,
these extremes
the need for
lies
more
a
data,
twilight zone,
and the
a
dangers
ring
of
around the
premature
planet where the
conclusions.
star hangs at the horizon.
But public imagination
This
has been
Terminator
captured.
region experiences neither full day nor
I/ATLAS
full night.
became a
It
cultural
might be the
phenomenon.
only place with moderate temperatures.
Hashtags trended.
On Earth,
Memes
day-night
proliferated.
cycles drive weather,
Conspiracy
ocean
theories
currents,
flourished.
and
Some
biological
claimed
rhythms.
3
Plants
I/ATLAS was
photosynthesize during
an
day
alien
and
probe sent
respire
to
at
study
night.
humanity.
Animals
A
coordinate
warning or
activity
message from
to
an
circadian
advanced
rhythms.
civilization.
A
A
tidally
derelict
locked
spacecraft
world
from a
lacks
long-dead
these cycles.
civilization.
Life
A natural
there would need
phenomenon
to
being
adapt
misinterpreted.
to constant conditions,
A hoax or
whether always
misanalysis
light
of the data.
or always dark. The
The
twilight
debate
zone
extended
might
beyond
host the
astronomy
most
into
diverse
philosophy
life,
and theology.
benefiting from
What
both
would it mean if 3
illumination and moderate temperatures.
I/ATLAS were
But
artificial?
atmospheric circulation
How should humanity
changes
respond?
everything.
Should we
A
try to
thick
communicate with it?
atmosphere transports heat
SETI
from dayside
organizations
to
issued
nightside.
statements
On
that
Earth,
trying to signal an
atmospheric
object in our
circulation
solar
creates
system
wind
was
patterns,
premature
jet
and
streams,
potentially unwise.
and weather systems.
If it were
On a
artificial,
tidally locked
it had
planet,
already announced its presence
circulation
by
would
entering
be
our
far more
system.
extreme.
Attempting
Air
contact
heated on the
should be a
dayside
decision
would
made
rise
carefully,
and flow
not
toward the
hastily.
night side. Cold
Governments
air on the
remained
night
officially
side
silent,
would sink and
though
flow
several
back
national
toward the
space
day side.
agencies reportedly
The result
convened
is a
classified
planet-wide
briefings
circulation
to assess
cell,
the
object
with
and
winds
its potential
potentially reaching
implications.
hundreds of miles per hour.
The perihelion
Computer models
passage.
show that a thick
On
hydrogen
November
atmosphere
3rd,
could
2024,
transport enough heat to
3
prevent the night side from freezing
TLAS
completely.
reached
The
perihelion,
day side
its
might reach
closest approach
100
to the
degrees
Sun,
Celsius or more,
passing about
but the night side
0.3
might stay above
astronomical
freezing
units from
due
our
to
star,
heat transport.
about 45
This
million
creates
kilometers,
habitable
or
conditions
roughly
across
halfway
much
between the
larger
Sun and
surface
Earth's
area
orbit.
than the twilight zone
Astronomers
alone.
hoped that
The
close
ocean
solar
itself would
passage would reveal
circulate,
definitive
driven by
answers.
temperature differences
The
and
increased
wind
solar
stress.
heating might
Warm
cause the
water
object
would
to
flow from
fragment if it were
dayside
loosely
toward
bound.
nightside. Cold water
Outgassing
would
should
return in
intensify,
deep currents.
perhaps revealing
However,
the source of the
constant
anomalous
illumination
acceleration.
on the dayside creates
And close observation
photochemical
during
challenges.
perihelion might
Sunlight
catch
drives
details
chemical
impossible to
reactions
see
in
from
the
farther
atmosphere.
away.
On Earth, these
The
reactions
brightness surge.
reset each night when the sun
As
goes down.
3I/ATLAS
Reactive
approached
molecules
the
produced
Sun,
during the
it
day
brightened,
get destroyed
expected,
at night,
as comets
maintaining
typically do
balance.
when solar heating
On a tidally
vaporizes
locked
their ices.
planet, the dayside
But the
never
brightening
gets
was
a break.
extreme.
Photochemistry
At
runs
perihelion,
continuously.
3I/ATLAS
40
was 40 times brighter than
before they
models
spread
predicted.
to the night side.
It
Or it could
temporarily
create
became visible to
exotic
the naked
chemistry
eye from dark locations
impossible
on Earth.
The night
A
side
remarkable feat
presents
for an
different
object only
challenges.
800 meters
With
long
no
at that
sunlight,
distance.
photosynthesis
The excess
cannot
brightness
occur
wasn't
there.
from reflected
Any
sunlight.
life on the night
The
side
object's
must rely
albedo,
on chemical
while
energy
unusual, couldn't
rather
account
than
for the
light.
intensity.
On Earth,
Instead,
deep-sea ecosystems
the object appeared to be
near
emitting its own
hydrothermal
light.
vents demonstrate that life can
Spectroscopy showed
thrive
the
without
emitted light
sunlight.
wasn't thermal,
Chemosynthetic
black-body
bacteria
radiation from a hot
extract
object.
energy from hydrogen
Instead,
sulfide
it had
and other
discrete emission
chemicals.
lines,
An entire
characteristic
food
of
chain
gas that's been
exists
energetically
independent
excited,
of photosynthesis.
like a neon sign or aurora.
Perhaps similar ecosystems
But the
cover
emission
this
lines
planet's
didn't
night
match any
side,
known atoms or
fed by
molecules.
chemicals upwelling from
They
below.
appeared at
Tidal
wavelengths
locking
where no
also
transition
affects
should
tidal
occur according
forces
to quantum
themselves.
mechanics.
With the planet
This is either a
always showing
breakthrough in
the
atomic
same
physics
face
or a
to the
measurement
star.
error, said Dr.
Tidal
Sarah
bulges
Seeger at
remain
MIT.
fixed in place.
If those
The
emission
ocean would
lines
have
are
a
real,
permanent
they
high
represent
tide on the
electronic
dayside and night
transitions that
side,
shouldn't exist
with
in any known
permanent low
element.
tide at the poles.
We've run every
This
possible
creates standing
identification,
wave patterns
including
unlike
exotic
anything
ionization
on Earth.
states and
What if
forbidden
this entire
transitions.
biological
Nothing fits.
interpretation is wrong?
The trajectory
Scientists
change.
do not assume biology
During
is
perihelion
the only
passage,
explanation. They test alternatives.
3I/ATLAS's
Over the
anomalous
past decade,
acceleration
multiple
intensified
research teams
dramatically.
have investigated
For
whether
several days,
dimethyl
the
sulfide
object's
can
trajectory
form without
deviated
light.
significantly
The
from
results
predictions.
complicate the picture.
Then, as it
In
began receding from
2024,
the Sun,
one
the
team
acceleration
published
stopped.
experiments showing
The
that
object returned
ultraviolet
to
light
following a
can
normal
drive
Keplerian
reactions
orbit
between
based
methane
solely
and
on solar
hydrogen
gravity.
sulfide
Dr.
that
Davide
produce small
Farnocchia
amounts
at
of
NASA's Jet
dimethyl
Propulsion
sulfide.
Laboratory,
This is
responsible for
confirmed
calculating the
experimental
orbits
data,
of hazardous
replicated
asteroids,
under
was
controlled
flummoxed.
conditions. The experiments
The object
worked like
behaved
this.
as if it had fired a
Researchers
rocket
filled a
engine
chamber
during
with gas
perihelion.
mixtures similar to what
The
might exist on
magnitude and
high-sea
direction of the
planets.
acceleration
Hydrogen,
are consistent
methane,
with a propulsive
carbon
maneuver,
dioxide, and hydrogen
but there's no
sulfide
plume,
in
no
various
exhaust,
ratios.
no
They
visible
sealed
mechanism.
the chamber and
The
exposed
trajectory
it to
change had
ultraviolet
altered
lamps, mimicking
3I/ATLAS's
starlight. Over
orbital
days or
parameters
weeks, they
significantly.
sampled the gas and
Instead of
analyzed its
escaping the solar
composition
system relatively
using mass
quickly,
spectrometry.
the object was now in
The
a
results
highly
showed
eccentric orbit
formation of
that would
several
keep it
organic
bound to the
sulfur
Sun for
compounds,
approximately 50
including
years
trace
before
amounts
finally
of dimethyl
escaping.
sulfide.
It's
the
as if,
mechanism
Farnocchia
involved
said
free
carefully,
radicals,
the object
molecular
adjusted its
fragments
trajectory
with
to
unpaired
remain in the inner
electrons.
solar system longer.
Ultraviolet light breaks
I know how
apart
that
methane,
sounds. I'm just
creating
describing
methyl
what the data
radicals.
shows.
These radicals
fragment
can then react
separation.
with hydrogen
On
sulfide,
November 6th,
which also
3 days
breaks
after
apart under
perihelion,
UV light.
something
Through a
extraordinary
series of
happened.
reactions, methyl radicals combine with
3I/ATLAS
sulfur to form
split.
dimethyl sulfide.
Multiple observers
The chemistry
noticed
is
that the object,
complex,
previously a
involving
single
multiple
point of light,
intermediate steps,
had become two.
but it works.
High-resolution
make
imaging
dimethyl
confirmed that a
sulfide
smaller
without
piece,
biology.
perhaps 10% of
However,
the original mass,
the yields were
had separated from the main
The
body.
experiments produced dimethyl sulfide
Comets
at
occasionally fragment due to thermal
measured in
stress,
parts per
structural
billion.
weakness,
To reach the
or
parts
tidal
per
forces.
million levels observed on this
separation was
ocean
clean.
world requires
Both pieces
yields
maintained
thousands
their
of times
elongated
higher.
shapes
The
and
researchers
continued on similar
acknowledged
but
this
slightly
limitation.
different
They
trajectories.
suggested that perhaps
More puzzling,
continuous
the fragment
volcanic
accelerated away from the
outgassing
main body
of
at a
hydrogen
rate too
sulfide
high to be explained
combined
by the
with
weak force
intense
of their mutual
photochemistry
separation.
might boost production.
It was as
but
if the
even
fragment
generous
had been
assumptions
pushed.
fell short of explaining
Over subsequent
observations.
days, the
Another
fragment
experiment
continued accelerating,
explored different
gradually
pathways.
diverging from
Scientists simulated conditions in molecular
3I/ATLAS's
clouds,
trajectory.
the cold, dense
By
regions
late
of
November,
space where
the
stars
two
form.
objects were separated
They
by
mixed
more than a
simple
million
molecules
kilometers
on
and
ice
following
grains
distinctly
and
different
exposed
paths
them to
through the solar
radiation.
system.
Under these
The
extreme
fragment,
conditions,
designated
they created various organic compounds,
3I/ATLAS-B, was
including
too small
dimethyl
and faint for
sulfide.
detailed spectroscopy.
This showed that dimethyl
But broadband
sulfide can
photometry
form in
suggested
space
its
before
composition
planets
differed from
even
the main
exist.
body.
Comets
It appeared
and
to be
asteroids
predominantly rocky,
might deliver
lacking the
dimethyl
organic
sulfide
rich
to
regions of the
planetary
original
atmospheres
object.
during impacts. But delivery
Imagine
by comets
Dr. Michelle
faces
Bannister
problems.
proposed in a
Any
televised interview
dimethyl sulfide
that 3
delivered from space would be destroyed
I/ATLAS was
quickly
carrying
by
cargo,
atmospheric chemistry.
and it just dropped off
To
a
maintain
payload.
the observed
I'm
concentration
not saying that's what
requires
happened,
continuous
but if
replenishment.
you saw a truck drive into
a planet
town,
would need
park,
constant
and then a
bombardment
smaller
by
vehicle
dimethyl
separate from it and
sulfide-rich
drive away,
comets.
you might
We
think
see
the
no
truck had
evidence
delivered
of such
something.
bombardment.
The
Crater
interviewer
counts on
pressed,
planets
"Are you
and
suggesting
moons provide clues about impact rates.
3I/ATLAS is
This
artificial?"
ocean world, based
Bannister
on its
hedged,
age and orbit,
"I'm suggesting
not
we keep all
experience heavy
possibilities on the
bombardment.
table
A
until we have
third set of
definitive evidence
experiments
one way or
examined
another."
high-temperature chemistry.
The November
When hydrogen
revelations.
sulfide reacts with organic
Throughout
molecules
November
at temperatures
2024,
above 500
as
degrees Celsius, various
3I/ATLAS
sulfur
receded from the
compounds
sun
form.
and
Volcanic
observations
vents
became more
on the
difficult,
seafloor might
three
provide
final
such
pieces of
conditions.
data emerged that
Hot
deepened
fluids
the mystery.
rich in hydrogen sulfide,
The isotope
mixing with
impossibility.
organic molecules from
Dr. Karen
biological
Oberg
or
at Harvard
abiotic sources
used ALMA,
could
the
generate
Atacama Large
dimethyl
Millimeter
sulfide.
Array,
This
to perform
pathway
the
does not
highest
require
resolution
life
spectroscopy
directly,
yet,
though it
of
might require organic
3I/ATLAS
precursors that life
is coma,
produces. The
the thin
challenge
atmosphere
is
of
scale.
gases surrounding
All
the
these
object.
abiotic pathways
Her
work
team
in
detected
principle.
molecules
They
of hydrogen
produce measurable
cyanide,
dimethyl
HCN,
sulfide in
a
laboratory
common cometary
settings.
gas.
But scaling them
But
up
when they
to
measured the
planetary
isotopes,
levels
specifically
requires
the ratio of
extraordinary
hydrogen to
conditions.
deuterium,
Constant
heavy
intense
hydrogen,
UV
they
radiation,
found something impossible.
massive volcanic outgassing
The deuterium
rates,
to hydrogen
unusual
ratio was
atmospheric compositions that
350 times
maximize
higher than
production
anywhere
while
else in the
minimizing
solar
destruction.
system,
The
higher than in
combination
any
of
observed
all
comet from the
factors
Oort
needed
cloud,
simultaneously
higher than in meteorites,
seems unlikely,
and
though
higher than
unlikely
theoretical
is
models
not
predict for
impossible.
any
One
natural
researcher
formation
put it
process
bluntly.
in our galaxy.
Yes, we can make
Deuterium
dimethyl
forms in the
sulfide
Big
without
Bang,
life.
and in
But
certain
making
stellar
enough
processes,
dimethyl sulfide to
the
explain
ratio of
observations
deuterium
without
to
life
hydrogen is
requires
a
so many
fundamental
special
parameter that
conditions
varies
that
slightly
invoking
between
biology
locations,
becomes simpler.
but stays within a
Biology
relatively
is
narrow
efficient
range
at
based on
producing
cosmic
specific
chemical
molecules.
evolution.
Abiotic chemistry tends to produce
$3I/ATLAS's
everything
ratio
at once
was
in
off the
small
charts,
amounts.
so high
The
that Oberg's
specificity
team spent
and
weeks
abundance
checking for
of dimethyl
systematic errors.
sulfide points
None were
toward
found.
biological production.
If this measurement is
But what about
correct,
false
Oberg
signals from
explained in a
space debris?
hastily called
In
press conference,
2022,
it means the water
scientists
ice in
made an unexpected discovery. They
$3I/ATLAS
detected
formed under
dimethyl
conditions that
sulfide
don't
on
exist
a comet.
anywhere in
The
our
comet,
galaxy.
named
Maybe it came from a very
67P
old,
Churyumov
metal-poor star
Gerasimenko,
system where
was
deuterium was
visited
more
by the
abundant.
European Space Agency's
Or maybe,
Rosetta probe.
and I hesitate to even say
Instruments
this,
aboard Rosetta
it came from
sampled the
somewhere
gas
with
and
different
dust
physical
streaming
constants
from the
governing
comet's
nuclear
surface
fusion.
as
The
it warmed
implication
near
was
the
staggering.
Sunday. Among dozens of detected molecules,
3I/ATLAS
dimethyl
might have originated
sulfide
not
appeared.
just from outside
This
our solar
confirmed
system,
that dimethyl
but from outside our
sulfide exists
galaxy.
in cometary
or
ice,
even, though no one
created
wanted to
through
say it
abiotic
explicitly,
processes
from outside our
before the comet
universe,
formed.
from a
The
region where
detection challenged
fundamental
assumptions
physics
about
operates
biosignatures.
differently.
If comets
The
contain
encryption
dimethyl
hypothesis.
sulfide,
Dr.
then
Sophia
finding
Sheikh and
it on
her
a
colleagues
planet
at the SETI
might not
Institute
indicate life.
conducted a comprehensive
Perhaps
analysis of the radio
impacts
signals
delivered
from
the molecule.
3I/ATLAS
outgassing
using
from deep
sophisticated
within the planet
information theory
releases
tools.
cometary material
They calculated the
accreted
signal's
during
entropy,
formation.
a measure of
Either
randomness
scenario
and
could
information
explain
content.
atmospheric
Natural
dimethyl
signals
sulfide
typically have
without
either
biology.
low entropy,
This
very
possibility
regular and
is
predictable
supported
like
by
pulsars,
direct comet
or high entropy,
observations,
random
not
noise.
speculation. But quantities matter.
3I/ATLAS's
The
signal
dimethyl
had
sulfide
moderate entropy,
detected on the
the
comet
same range as
existed at very
human-generated
low
radio
abundance,
signals carrying
parts per
information.
million in the
The
comet's
pattern was
ice.
complex enough
When
to
that ice
potentially encode
sublimates
information,
into gas,
but not
it
so
dilutes
random
even
as to be
further,
meaningless noise.
delivering enough
Sheikh
dimethyl
applied
sulfide
compression
to explain
algorithms, the
atmospheric
same mathematics
concentrations
used to
of
compress
10
data
parts per
files on
million
computers.
would require
Compressible
enormous
data
numbers of
contains
impacts.
patterns and structure.
Scientists
Random
calculated
noise
the
can't
required
be
impact
compressed.
rate. The numbers were
3I/ATLAS's
You would
signal
need
was compressible
impacts
by
dumping
approximately
thousands of tons of
15%,
cometary material
consistent with data
into the
that
atmosphere
contains
every
information.
day.
This doesn't
Such high
prove the
impact
signal
rates
carries a
would show
message,
other
Sheikh
effects.
emphasized.
Impacts
Some
deliver
natural
more than
processes
just
produce
dimethyl
compressible
sulfide.
patterns,
Comets
but
contain
combined
water,
with everything else we're
carbon
seeing,
monoxide,
it's one more data
ammonia,
point suggesting
methanol,
3I/ATLAS
formaldehyde,
might
and
not be
dozens of other
entirely
molecules.
natural. The
If
team's paper,
impacts were
published in
delivering
Astrophysical
dimethyl
Journal
sulfide,
letters,
they
was
should be
carefully
delivering
worded.
all these other
We
molecules
report the
too.
detection of
Yet,
radio emissions from the
atmospheric
interstellar
observations
object
do not show unusual
3I/ATLAS
abundances of other
with
cometary
statistical
volatiles.
properties consistent
Carbon
with
monoxide
information-bearing
appears
signals.
absent
While
or
natural
very
explanations
low.
cannot be ruled
Ammonia
out,
is
the
missing.
possibility of
The chemical
artificial origin
signature
warrants
does not
serious
match
consideration
continuous
and
cometary
continued
delivery.
observation.
There is another
The
problem.
magnetic anomaly.
Impact speeds.
In late
When a
November,
comet hits
Dr.
a
James
planet,
Bauer at the
velocities
University of
range from
Maryland
tens
used
to
NASA's
hundreds of
SOPHIA
kilometers per second.
stratospheric
These
observatory for infrared
hypervelocity
astronomy
impacts release
to conduct
enormous
far
energy.
infrared observations
Temperatures
of
at impact sites reach
3I/ATLAS.
thousands of degrees.
His goal was to measure
Most
the object's
molecules get
thermal
destroyed.
emission, the heat
Complex
it radiates
organic
into
molecules
space,
like
to better
dimethyl
understand
sulfide
its surface
would break
properties and
apart into
composition.
simpler fragments.
What he found instead
Only the
was
most
an
robust
anomalously strong
molecules survive.
magnetic field.
Dimethyl
Comets and
sulfide
asteroids
is
don't
not
have
particularly
significant magnetic
robust.
fields.
it
They're
should
too
be
small
destroyed,
to maintain
not
the
delivered
internal
intact.
convection currents
Some
that
impacts
generate
occur
planetary
at lower
magnetic fields,
velocities.
and they
If
don't
the
have enough
planet
metallic
captures a
content
comet
to create strong
gravitationally
remnant
and the comet
magnetization.
spirals inward slowly, it might
3I/ATLAS
hit at just
showed a
few
magnetic
kilometers
field
per
strength of
second.
approximately
These gentle
0.3
impacts
Gauss,
might preserve
about 600
molecules better.
times stronger than
But
Earth's
gentle
magnetic
impacts
field,
are rare.
and far stronger
Most
than
comets
any natural
either
solar
miss
system
entirely
object its size
or
should
hit hard.
possess.
The
The only way
probability
to
of
generate a
sustaining
magnetic field this strong in an
gentle
object this
impacts
small is
over
through
millions
electrical
of years
currents, Bauer
seems
explained.
vanishingly small.
And the only way
There
to
is one
maintain those
scenario
currents
where
is through
cometary
active
delivery
power
might
generation.
work. If the
This
planet
object
formed
isn't
in
just
a region
magnetic,
rich with
it
cometary
appears to be
material
electrically
and captured
active.
huge amounts
Natural
during
processes
formation,
could theoretically
that
create
material
this,
could be stored
perhaps
in the planet's
thermoelectric
interior.
effects from temperature
Over
gradients,
time,
or
volcanic
magnetohydrodynamic
activity or
effects in an
convection
ionized
might bring
coma.
this material
But
to
the magnetic
surface,
field was too
releasing
strong and
ancient
too
cometary
stable to be
volatiles
easily
into the
explained by
atmosphere.
such mechanisms.
This would not require
The December
ongoing
decision.
impacts.
By early
Just
December
release of primordial
2024,
material. But this scenario requires the
3I/ATLAS
dimethyl
had receded
sulfide
to
to survive
approximately
inside
1
the planet
astronomical
for
unit
billions
from
of
Earth,
years.
about the
Planetary
distance from Earth
interiors
to the
reach
Sun.
temperatures of
It was
thousands
fading
of
from
degrees.
view as it moved into the
Pressures
outer solar
exceed
system,
millions of
and within a
atmospheres.
few months
Most
it would be
molecules
too
break
faint for
down under
detailed
such
observation,
conditions.
with anything
Only the
except
most
the
chemically
largest
stable
telescopes.
compounds survive.
The astronomical
Dimethyl
community faced a
sulfide would
decision.
almost certainly
How
be
aggressively
destroyed
should they
during
pursue
storage.
this object?
Water
Should
survives
resources
because
be
it is
diverted from
extremely
other
stable.
projects?
Simple
Should a space
gases
mission
like
be
hydrogen,
considered?
methane,
The NASA
and
review.
carbon dioxide
NASA
survive.
convened an emergency
Complex
panel
organic
to assess
sulfur compounds do not.
3I/ATLAS
The comet
and
connection
recommend action.
remains a
The
cautionary
panel
tale
included
rather
astronomers,
than a real
planetary
alternative.
scientists,
It reminds
astrobiologists,
scientists
and
that
engineers,
biosignature
along with
molecules
representatives
can
from the
have
Department of Defense
non-biological
and
sources.
the National Security
It
Council.
forces
The
more
panel's
careful
report, partially
interpretation of
declassified and
observations,
released in January
but it does not
2025,
explain the
concluded
specific case
the object
of this ocean
designated
world.
3I/ATLAS
The dimethyl sulfide
exhibits
concentrations
properties
are too
unprecedented in the
high.
annals
The lack
of
of other
observational
cometary
astronomy.
signatures is too complete.
While extraordinary
The
claims
chemical
require
environment
extraordinary
is
evidence,
too
the
destructive
totality
to
of
preserve delivered
observations
molecules
suggests this
long
object
term.
warrants designation
What about
as an
volcanic
object of
sources that
exceptional
mimic life's
scientific
chemistry?
interest
Volcanoes
and potentially
on Earth spew
national
sulfur
security
in many
significance.
forms. Sulfur
The
dioxide
report outlined
dominates
3
volcanic
hypotheses
emissions,
ranked by the
released
panel's
when
assessment of
magma
likelihood.
rises and pressure
Hypothesis
drops.
1,
Hydrogen sulfide
65%
follows.
probability.
The rotten egg
Exotic
smell
natural
associated
object
with volcanic regions.
3I/ATLAS
Sulfur's chemistry
is a natural
complex,
object formed under
with
conditions
multiple
not
oxidation
previously
states,
observed,
allowing it
possibly
to bond with
in an
almost
unusual
anything.
stellar
In
environment
volcanic
or through
environments,
processes not yet
sulfur
understood.
reacts with carbon,
Its anomalous
hydrogen,
properties
and
reflect
oxygen
gaps in
to
our
form
knowledge of
dozens
planetary
of
system
different
formation
compounds.
and
This
interstellar
is
matter
well-established
evolution.
geochemistry, observed at
Hypothesis 2,
volcanic sites
30%
worldwide.
probability.
Could volcanic processes
Technological
on this
artifact
ocean world create
3I/ATLAS
dimethyl sulfide?
is an artificial
One
object,
pathway
either a
involves
probe
methane,
sent by an
reacting
extraterrestrial
with
civilization,
sulfur-containing
a
volcanic
piece
gases.
of ancient technology from a
Methane is
long-dead
abundant in the
civilization,
atmosphere,
or a failed or
confirmed at
derelict
1%
spacecraft.
concentration.
Its properties
If
are
volcanic
consistent with
vents
engineered
release hydrogen
materials and
sulfide,
controlled
and that
propulsion.
hydrogen sulfide encounters
Hypothesis
methane
3,
under the right conditions,
5% probability.
reactions could produce
Physics
organic
beyond
sulfur
standard model
compounds.
3I/ATLAS
High temperatures would favor different
represents
products than
phenomena
low
not
temperatures.
explained by known
The right
physics,
temperature range
possibly
might favor
involving
dimethyl
exotic
sulfide
matter,
formation.
extra dimensions,
Laboratory
or
experiments
physical principles
explored
not
this
yet
possibility.
discovered.
Researchers
Its
mixed
origin
methane
might be
and
from
hydrogen
outside our
sulfide
universe
and heated
or
them
from
to
a
various
region of
temperatures.
space-time with different
At
physical
500
constants.
to 700
The
degrees
report
Celsius,
recommended
various
continued
organic
intensive
sulfur
observation
compounds formed.
using all available
Carbon
ground-based
disulfide
and
appeared.
space-based
Carbonyl
telescopes.
sulfide appeared.
International
Methyl
coordination
mercaptan
to
appeared.
pool resources and
Dimethyl
data.
sulfide appeared.
Mission
but
feasibility
only in
studies
trace
for sending a
amounts.
spacecraft to
The
intercept
product
and
distribution
closely
was
examine
messy,
3I/ATLAS.
producing many molecules simultaneously.
Preparation
That
of
is
response
typical of
protocols in
abiotic
case the
chemistry.
object exhibits
Life
behavior
produces
suggesting
specific
intelligence
molecules
or intent.
efficiently. Abiotic
Restraint
processes
in public
produce
communication
everything at
to avoid
once
panic
inefficiently.
while maintaining
The volcanic
transparency
pathway
about
faces
scientific findings.
quantitative problems.
The
To
ESA
maintain 10
response.
parts per million
The
dimethyl
European Space
sulfide in the
Agency, in
atmosphere,
collaboration with
requires
JAXA,
continuous
Japan,
production,
and Roscosmos,
matching
Russia,
destruction
proposed
rates.
an ambitious mission.
Scientists
A fast
calculated the
flyby
necessary
spacecraft
volcanic
that could reach
outgassing rates.
3I/ATLAS
They estimated that
within
hydrogen
18
sulfide
months
emissions
and conduct
would need to
close-range
exceed Earth's
observations.
entire volcanic output.
The mission
by
would
factors of
require a
hundreds
heavy lift
or
launcher
thousands.
and multiple
This ocean
gravitational
world would
assists.
need to be one of the
Using
most
Earth,
volcanically volcanically
Venus,
active
and possibly
bodies in
Jupiter
the known universe.
to achieve the
While
necessary
not
velocity
impossible,
to catch up
it
with the
seems
rapidly
unlikely.
moving object.
There is also the methane
We have a window
problem.
of opportunity,
Methane
explained
itself
Dr. Paolo Ferri,
requires
ESA's
explanation.
former head of mission
On Earth,
operations.
most atmospheric
In about
methane
5 years,
comes from
3
biology, produced
I/ATLAS
by
will be too
methanogenic
far away
bacteria
and too
or
faint to
released
study
during
effectively from
decomposition
Earth.
of organic matter.
If we want answers,
Some
we
comes
need
from
to send
geological
something to it.
sources like
The
serpentinization,
proposed
where
spacecraft would
water
carry
reacts with certain
high-resolution
rocks
cameras
to produce
for imaging
hydrogen
the
and
object's
methane.
surface,
But these geological
spectrometers
sources
to
produce
analyze
relatively
composition
small
and
amounts.
chemistry,
The 1%
magnetometers
methane on
to
this ocean
characterize the
world
magnetic field,
exceeds what abiotic processes
particle
typically
detectors to
generate.
study the object's
If
coma,
volcanoes produce the methane,
radio
they
equipment
must
to
also
analyze the
produce
anomalous
dimethyl
signals
sulfide
at close
through the same
range,
processes. That
possibly
creates
a
a
small impactor
self-consistent
to create a
abiotic
crater
scenario,
and expose
but it
subsurface
requires
material.
extraordinarily active volcanism
The estimated
and
cost,
specific chemical
$2.5
conditions
billion.
that maximize organic
timeline,
molecule production.
Launch by
Models struggle to
mid-2026,
achieve both
arrival at
requirements
3
simultaneously.
I/ATLAS
Either
in late
volcanism is too weak to
2027
produce
or
enough
early
gas,
2028.
or temperatures are too high
It was
to allow
ambitious
organic
and
molecules
expensive,
to survive.
but as Dr.
Another
Ferri
volcanic
noted,
pathway
when will we get
involves
another chance
intermediate
like this?
water chemistry. Volcanic
Interstellar
gases
objects are
dissolve
rare.
in ocean water.
One with
The
properties
dissolved
this
gases
anomalous
then
may be
react
a
with each
once-in-a-century
other in solution
opportunity.
rather than in the
The
atmosphere.
science return would be
Aqueous
immense,
chemistry allows
regardless of
different
whether we find a
reaction
natural
pathways.
explanation
Some
or something
reactions
more
that do not work in
extraordinary.
gas phase proceed efficiently in water.
The Chinese initiative.
Perhaps dissolved
In
hydrogen
mid-December,
sulfide
China
and
announced
dissolved
its own
organic
mission,
molecules
not a flyby,
combine to
but a
form
sample
dimethyl
return.
sulfide in the ocean.
The China National
The
Space
dimethyl
Administration
sulfide then
(CNSA)
evaporates
revealed
into the
plans for a
atmosphere.
mission to
This
intercept
aqueous
3
pathway faces its own
I/ATLAS,
challenges.
match its
Ocean
velocity,
chemistry is
deploy
buffered
a
by
lander to
dissolved
collect
minerals.
samples and return them to
Seawater on
Earth.
Earth has a pH
This
around
would be
8,
extraordinarily
slightly alkaline.
difficult.
This
The
pH
delta V
range
change in
strongly
velocity
affects what
required
reactions
was immense,
occur.
and matching the
Dimethyl
object's
sulfide
tumbling
formation
rotation would
generally
be challenging.
favors acidic or neutral
But China had
conditions, not
demonstrated
alkaline.
considerable
But we
prowess
do
in
not know the
sample
pH
return
of
missions,
this ocean
having
world's
successfully returned
water. If
samples from the
volcanic
Moon
activity
and from
acidifies the
asteroid
ocean,
Bennu.
that might favor dimethyl
If
sulfide
successful,
formation.
it would be the
However,
most significant
acidic
space
oceans
mission
would
in
dissolve
history,
carbonate minerals
returning the
and
first
show different
interstellar material
atmospheric carbon
ever brought
dioxide
to
levels.
Earth,
The
potentially
observations
including
do not clearly
technological
support
artifacts if
extreme
hypothesis
pH.
2 was
The
correct.
truth
The
is
announcement
that
sparked
scientists
geopolitical
have
tensions.
not yet found
NASA and
a
ESA
volcanic
protested
pathway
that such a mission
that
should be
fully
internationally
explains the
coordinated.
observations without
Others worried about
invoking
biosafety.
extraordinary
What if
conditions.
3
Volcanic sources
I/ATLAS
might
carried
contribute
dangerous
some dimethyl
microorganisms
sulfide.
or
They might
self-replicating
explain part of the
nanomachines?
signal.
The Outer
But
Space
explaining the
Treaty of
full observed
1967
concentration
technically prohibited
requires either
nations from
extreme
claiming celestial
volcanism
bodies,
or highly
but 3
specific chemistry, or
I/ATLAS's
both.
status was
As
ambiguous.
explanations
It wasn't
go,
orbiting any
biology
celestial body,
remains simpler.
it was passing through
What if the
interstellar
star
space.
itself makes
Did the
this
treaty
planet
apply?
uninhabitable?
Lawyers,
Red dwarf
diplomats and
stars are
scientists
violent.
scrambled
They
to
erupt
address
with
questions
massive
that had always
flares,
been theoretical.
releasing energy equivalent
Who has
to
the right to
billions of
study or
nuclear
sample
bombs.
interstellar
These
objects?
stellar flares
What protocols
blast
should govern
nearby
contact with
planets
potentially
X-rays,
artificial objects?
ultraviolet
What
radiation,
if different nations
and
detect
streams
different
of
signals or
charged
messages from the
particles?
object?
The flares
The January
happen frequently,
silence.
sometimes
On January
multiple
4,
times per day during
2025,
active
something
period.
changed.
This is
The radio
confirmed
emissions from
through
3
observations of thousands
I/ATLAS
of red
stopped.
dwarfs. We
For
have
months,
watched them
the object
flare.
had been
We have
transmitting its
measured the
enigmatic
energy.
signals,
The danger
varying
is
in
real.
intensity,
Why
but
do
always
red
present.
dwarfs flare?
Dozens of
so
radio
much?
telescopes around
The
the world
answer
had been monitoring
lies in how they
continuously.
generate
Then, abruptly,
magnetic
the
fields.
signals ceased.
Stars create
At first,
magnetic fields
astronomers
through
thought
dynamo
equipment had
processes,
failed,
where
but
flowing
independent
electrically
facilities
conductive
confirmed
plasma
3
generates electric
I/ATLAS
currents
had gone
that
radio
produce
silent.
magnetic fields.
Dr. Andrew Simeon
On our
checked
Sun,
and rechecked
the
the
dynamo
data.
operates
The
in a
cessation
shell
was not
near
gradual.
the surface.
One moment
On
we're
red
receiving
dwarfs,
signals at normal
the dynamo
intensity,
operates
the next
throughout
moment,
the entire
nothing.
star because
Not
they are
even
fully
thermal
convective.
background. It's like
Hot
someone
plasma
flipped a
from the
switch.
core
For
rises
3 weeks,
to the surface.
3
Cool plasma
I/ATLAS
from
remained
the surface
silent.
sinks to the
Optical
core.
observations
This creates
showed it was still
powerful,
there,
tangled
still following
magnetic
its
fields.
predicted
These
trajectory.
magnetic
But
fields
the radio
store
emissions that had been
enormous
its most
energy.
anomalous feature had
Sometimes
vanished.
field lines become
Speculation
twisted
ran
and stressed.
wild.
When
Had the
they
object
release
completed
that
whatever
stored
task
energy
it was
suddenly,
performing? Had
you
its
get a
power
flare.
source run out?
Material
Was it reacting
heated
to something,
millions of
perhaps to
degrees
human observations or
erupts from the star's
transmissions?
surface.
Had it detected
Radiation
Earth's
across
radio
the
leakage and decided
electromagnetic
to stop
spectrum
broadcasting?
floods outward.
Or was the
For a
silence
planet
itself a
orbiting close
message?
by,
The
this
message
is
hypothesis.
catastrophic. The radiation
Dr. Sophia
hits
Sheikh and
in
her SETI
minutes.
colleagues
There
performed a
is no
comprehensive
warning,
analysis of
no
all the
time to
radio
take
data
shelter.
collected from
What does
3
this radiation do to
I/ATLAS
atmospheres?
from its discovery through
Ultraviolet
the
light and
cessation of
X-rays slam
transmissions.
into the upper atmosphere,
Using pattern
ionizing
recognition
molecules and
algorithms
atoms.
and every code-breaking
Ionization
technique
strips
available,
electrons from
they searched
atoms,
for structure,
creating
meaning,
charged
or
particles.
patterns that might
These
indicate the
charged
signals were
particles are
deliberate
reactive.
transmissions.
They tear apart
What they
molecules.
found was provocative
Complex
but
organic
inconclusive.
molecules get destroyed.
The signal contained
On Earth,
repeating
our
patterns,
magnetic field
sequences
and thick
that appeared
atmosphere
multiple
protect
times
us
throughout
from
the
solar
transmission
flares.
period.
Mars
Some
lacks a
sequences
strong
were simple,
magnetic field
just a few
and has a
peaks and
thin
troughs.
atmosphere.
Others were
Partly
elaborate,
because solar
involving
wind
dozens of
stripped it
frequency
away
shifts and
over
intensity
billions
modulations.
of years. This
One
ocean
pattern
world
appeared
orbits much
37
closer
times
to its
across the
star than
entire
Mars.
dataset.
Orbits the
A specific
Sunday.
sequence
The
of
flares
pulses
hit
at
harder.
precise intervals.
The radiation is
The
more
number
intense.
37 might be
If the
significant.
planet lacks a
Its
magnetic
prime,
field,
suggesting
the atmosphere is
intentionality rather than
exposed
natural
directly.
periodicity.
Scientists estimate
Another pattern
that
consisted
over
of 141
billions of years,
pulses,
a red
followed
dwarf
by a
could
gap,
strip away
then
several Earth
142
masses of
pulses,
atmosphere
then
from
a
a
gap,
nearby planet.
then 143
That this ocean
pulses.
world retains its
The
atmosphere
sequence continued up to
suggests either it has a
179
magnetic
pulses before
field,
repeating.
or its gravity is
These
strong
numbers
enough to
formed a
hold onto
mathematical
atmosphere
sequence,
despite losses,
consecutive
or the
integers,
star is less
which is
active
unlikely
than
to
typical
occur
red
naturally.
dwarfs. Magnetic fields
If you wanted to
depend on
demonstrate
planetary
intelligence to someone who
interiors.
didn't share your
Earth has a
language or
magnetic
culture,
field
Sheikh
because its
explained to a
liquid
rapt
iron core
audience at an
convects,
emergency astronomical
creating a
conference.
dynamo similar
use
to stellar
mathematics.
dynamos. Rocky
Mathematical
planets with
truths are
solidified
universal.
cores lose
Pi
their
is pi
magnetic
everywhere.
fields.
Prime
This
numbers are
ocean
prime
world is
everywhere.
massive enough
This
that it
pattern,
might retain
counting in
internal
sequence,
heat from
is
formation.
mathematically
If it
simple
has
but
a liquid
informationally
metallic
significant.
core, it could generate
However,
a
she
magnetic
cautioned,
field.
We
But
can't
no
definitively say this
observations
is a
directly
message.
confirm this.
Pattern seeking
We
is
cannot
something
measure
humans are
magnetic fields on
extraordinarily
such
good at,
distant planets
sometimes
yet.
too good.
We can only
We see
infer
faces
their
in
presence
clouds,
or
hear
absence
words in
from
random
indirect
noise.
evidence.
The patterns
Even if
we
a
found
magnetic
might be
field
real but
exists,
natural, or
flares
they might
still
be
pose
artifacts
problems
of how
for
we're
life.
processing the
The
data.
radiation might not strip
Still,
the atmosphere
the fact
entirely,
that transmissions
but it
stopped
penetrates deep
precisely
enough
when
to affect surface conditions.
3I/ATLAS reached
On
a
Earth,
distance of
the
1.5
ozone layer absorbs
astronomical units
harmful
from Earth
UV radiation.
suggested possible
Oxygen in the
responsiveness to
atmosphere
external
creates
conditions.
ozone. This
As if the
ocean world
object
has minimal
knew
oxygen.
it was moving beyond
Without
optimal
ozone,
transmission range.
UV
The optical
radiation
flicker.
reaches the surface unimpeded.
While the radio signals had
Organisms
ceased,
there
optical
would need
observers
protection
noticed something new.
mechanisms, like thick cell walls, radiation-resistant
3I/ATLAS's
proteins,
brightness was
or simply
flickering.
living underwater.
The object's
where
rotation
water
period,
absorbs radiation.
6.7
Flare
hours, had
frequency
remained
matters.
constant since
If
discovery,
flares happen
causing
daily,
predictable brightness
life must cope with
variations as
constant
different
bombardment.
faces of the elongated
If flares
object
happen
came
yearly,
into view.
there are long recovery
But starting in late
periods.
January,
Observations
additional
of this
variations
particular red
appeared.
dwarf
Rapid flickers
show it is relatively
superimposed on the
old
regular
at
rotation signal.
2.4 billion years.
These flickers occurred at
Old
irregular
red
intervals,
dwarfs tend to
lasted
be
for
calmer
minutes
than
to
young
hours,
ones.
and increased the
Stellar
object's
activity
brightness by
declines
10
over
to
time
30%.
as stars spin down.
Dr.
and
Beatrice
magnetic
Mueller
fields weaken.
analysed the flickering.
Perhaps this
The
star
brightness
has
changes
mellowed
are too
enough
rapid
that
and
its
too
flares
localized
no
to be
longer
explained by
threaten planetary
rotation
atmospheres
or by
severely.
uniform
But
outgassing.
even quiet red dwarfs
Something on the
flare
object's
occasionally.
surface is
One
intermittently
massive
becoming
flare
more
could
reflective
temporarily
or more
destroy
emissive.
biosignature
If this were a
gases in the
spacecraft,
atmosphere.
we'd say it was
If
firing maneuvering
dimethyl
thrusters
sulfide gets
or deploying
obliterated
reflective
during a
panels.
flare,
I don't know what
observations
the natural
afterward
equivalent
would show
would be.
lower concentrations.
The flickering episodes
Multiple
increased in
observations
frequency through
spread
late
across
January
months
and
would
early
reveal
February,
whether
with some nights
concentrations
seeing a
vary
dozen
with
separate
stellar
events.
activity.
Then,
So far,
like the radio
the data
signals
comes
before,
from just two
they stopped,
observation windows.
ceasing entirely
More
on February
observations
11th,
might show temporal
2025.
variations that reveal
The
flare
fragment's
impacts.
journey.
What about the gentler,
While attention
persistent
focused on
stellar wind? All stars emit
3I/ATLAS
stellar
itself,
wind.
the separated
Streams of
fragment,
charged particles flowing outward. Our sun
3I/ATLAS-B,
produces
was
solar
following
wind
its own
that travels
intriguing
about
trajectory.
1 million miles per hour.
The fragment had been
This
moving
wind
away from the main
carries away
body
mass.
since separating in early
Over the
November.
sun's lifetime, it
By
has
February
lost a tiny fraction
2025,
of its total
it was over
mass
10
through
million
this
kilometers
process.
from
The wind also carries magnetic
3I/ATLAS,
field lines
about
that
25
interact
times
with
the
planetary
Earth-Moon distance.
magnetic fields.
Dr.
Earth's
Davide
magnetosphere
Farnocchia at
deflects
JPL
most solar
had been
wind
carefully
around us.
tracking both objects.
Particles that penetrate
On February
create
18th,
auroras
he
at the
noticed something
poles.
remarkable.
This is well understood space physics, confirmed by
I/ATLAS-B
decades of
was changing
spacecraft
course.
measurements. Red
The
dwarf
fragment's
stars
trajectory
emit
had been
weaker
slowly
stellar
diverging
winds
from the
than
main
sun
object's path,
by total
gradually
mass
bending
loss.
away under the influence
But
of
their
solar
planets
gravity
orbit so
and the slight
close
push it
that
received
wind
at
density
separation.
becomes important.
Now,
Imagine
it was bending
standing descending in a gentle
not toward the
breeze.
sun,
as
versus
orbital
standing
mechanics would
in that
demand,
same breeze
but
while
towards
pressed
something
against
else.
the fan producing it.
Farnokia ran
This
the calculations
ocean world
multiple
sits
times.
13 million miles
The fragment
from
is
its star.
accelerating in a direction
Earth
that will bring
sits
it
93
toward
million
Earth,
miles from the Sunday.
not directly toward
The
Earth.
planet
The
orbits
trajectory
7
wasn't a
times
collision
closer
course,
relative to stellar
but
size.
3I/ATLASB
At that distance,
was
stellar wind
adjusting its
density
path to
is
pass close to
significantly
Earth's
higher.
orbit.
Stellar wind erodes
Projecting
atmospheres
forward,
through several
Farnokia
mechanisms.
calculated the fragment would
First,
cross Earth's orbital
momentum
path in
transfer.
late April
Fast-moving
2025
particles collide
at a
with
distance of
atmospheric
approximately
atoms and
0.15
molecules.
astronomical
Sometimes these
units,
collisions impart
about
enough
22
energy
million
for
kilometers,
atmospheric
or
particles
60
to
times
escape
the Earth-Moon
gravity.
distance.
This is called
This
sputtering.
could still be natural,
One by
Farnokia
one,
cautioned
atoms
in a
get
briefing
knocked
to
into
NASA
space.
leadership.
Over millions of
Solar
years,
radiation pressure,
sputtering
outgassing,
removes
or
substantial
other effects could
atmospheric
create
mass.
this trajectory,
Second,
but the timing
charge
is remarkable.
exchange. Stellar
The fragment
wind consists
separated
of
from
ionized particles, mostly protons.
3I/ATLAS
When
3
these
months
ions
ago.
encounter neutral atoms
Now
in an
it's
atmosphere,
maneuvering to pass
they
close
can
to
steal
Earth's
electrons.
orbit, right
The
about when
newly
Earth will be in
ionized
that vicinity.
atmospheric atoms respond
The
to magnetic
coincidence
fields.
is
They get
notable.
swept up by the stellar wind.
He didn't
and
say
carried
what
away.
everyone in the room
This
was
process
thinking.
is
If
particularly efficient at removing hydrogen and
3I/ATLASB
helium,
was artificial
which are light
and under intelligent
easily
control,
ionized.
it appeared
Third,
to be positioning itself
atmospheric
for a
heating.
close approach to Earth.
Stellar wind deposits
The international
energy
crisis
into the
news
upper
of
atmosphere.
3I/ATLASB's
The atmosphere heats up. Hot
Earth
atmospheric
approaching trajectory
particles move
leaked,
faster.
triggering
Some
public
reach
alarm.
escape velocity and
Headlines
drift away.
screamed,
This
mysterious
thermal
space
escape
object
mechanism
heading toward
is
Earth,
most effective
and
for light
alien
elements.
probe to buzz Earth
Hydrogen
in April.
escapes fastest.
Governments
Then
scrambled to
helium.
respond.
Heavier
NASA and
elements
ESA
like
held
nitrogen,
joint press conferences,
oxygen, and
emphasizing
carbon
that
escape more
fragment would
slowly,
not impact
but
Earth.
still escape. Mars
even at
provides a
closest
cautionary
approach,
tale.
it would be 60
Mars once
times
had a
farther than
thicker
the Moon.
atmosphere, evident from
No
ancient
threat
river
to
valleys
satellites
and
or
lake
space
beds.
stations
Over
existed.
billions of years,
The trajectory
solar
change
wind
might be
stripped
entirely
most of it
natural.
away. Mars lost its
damage was
magnetic
done.
field early in its history
Public
when its
anxiety
core
mixed with
solidified.
fascination.
Without magnetic
Social
protection,
media
the
exploded with
atmosphere was
speculation,
vulnerable.
theories
Today,
and fears.
Mars
Some
has less
urged
than
humanity
1%
to signal the
the
fragment
atmospheric
to attempt
pressure of
communication before it
The
passed
planet
by.
dried out. and
Others
froze.
demanded military action.
This is confirmed
Proposals
by
to
rover
intercept
missions
and destroy the
orbiting
object before it could
spacecraft
pose any
that
threat.
measured
The
atmospheric
United
loss
Nations
rates
Security
directly.
Council
Could
convened
the same
emergency
fate
sessions.
befall this
For
ocean
the first
world?
time in history,
The hydrogen
humanity faced a
atmosphere
possible
might
contact
actually
scenario,
help protect
not
against
through
loss.
radio signals across light years,
Hydrogen is the
but through a
lightest
physical
element.
object in our
It
solar
occupies
system
the
that might
uppermost
be artificial
atmospheric layers.
and might be approaching our
Stellar
planet.
wind interacts primarily
protocols.
with this hydrogen,
Fortunately,
stripping it away,
the
but leaving
SETI
heavier
community
molecules
had spent
deeper
decades
in the
developing
atmosphere
protocols for
untouched.
exactly this
The
scenario.
massive hydrogen envelope
The SETI
acts as a
post-detection
sacrificial
protocols
shield.
outlined
As
steps
long
to
as the
take if a
planet
signal from
replenishes
extraterrestrial
hydrogen from below,
intelligence were
It
detected.
can maintain atmosphere
Those protocols had
indefinitely.
always assumed
But where
first
does
contact
replacement
would come through
hydrogen
radio
come from?
signals from
If
distant
the planet
stars.
has a hydrogen
No one had
rich
seriously
interior,
contemplated a
convection
scenario
and
where the first
outgassing
contact would
could
be through
release
an object
hydrogen
already in our
continuously.
solar system, approaching our
Alternatively,
planet.
if the planet
Dr. John
contains
Elliott
water,
at the UK
that water
SETI
could break
Research
down
Network
into hydrogen
chaired an
and
emergency
oxygen.
international
The
committee
hydrogen
to adapt the
escapes.
protocols.
The oxygen reacts
The fundamental
with surface
principle
materials,
remains:
or
we
gets
must respond
incorporated
as a
into
species,
molecules.
not as
This
individual
would
nations.
slowly dry out the planet.
Any decision
over
to
billions
signal
of
the
years.
object or attempt
Venus
interaction
demonstrates this process.
must be made collectively,
Venus
with
lost
input
an
from
ocean's
diverse
worth of
perspectives,
water through hydrogen
scientific,
escape.
ethical,
The planet
cultural,
baked dry
religious.
under a
But
runaway
achieving global
greenhouse.
consensus on anything
Scientists
is challenging.
estimate atmospheric
Achieving
loss
it within
rates
weeks,
using models
on a matter
that
of
input
potential
stellar wind
existential
properties,
importance, proved
planetary
nearly
gravity,
impossible.
magnetic field
Some
strength,
nations
if
wanted
any,
aggressive action,
and atmospheric
intercepting the
composition.
fragment with spacecraft
For this
equipped
ocean
to examine
world,
it or,
estimates
if
vary
necessary,
widely depending on
destroy it.
assumptions. Optimistic
Others
models
urged caution,
suggest atmospheric
arguing
loss
that
rates
any
low
hostile
enough
action
that the
might
planet
provoke
retains
retaliation
atmosphere for
if the
billions
objects
of
were
years.
indeed artificial
Pessimistic
and under
models
intelligent control.
suggest rapid loss
Some
that
scientists
would
wanted to
strip the
broadcast
atmosphere
messages toward
within
the fragment,
hundreds of
attempting
millions of
communication.
years. The
Others
fact that
vehemently
atmosphere
opposed,
remains,
arguing
after
that
2
attracting
billion
attention to
years,
Earth might be
provides a
dangerous
constraint.
if we didn't understand the
Loss
object's
rates
purpose
cannot
or
be
its
as high
creator's
as the
intentions.
pessimistic models predict.
Religious leaders offered
But
diverse
beyond that
perspectives.
conclusion remains
Some saw
uncertain.
the objects as
What
miracles
about the
or divine
crazy
messengers.
elliptical orbit?
Others
Remember
warned of
the
deception
elliptical
or danger.
orbit? Eccentricity
Still others urged
of
open-minded inquiry,
0.09
tempered with
means the
appropriate
planet's
caution.
distance from its star
The debate
varies by
consumed February
12%
and March
between closest and
2025.
farthest approach.
approach.
While humans
That
argued,
translates to
3I/ATLASB
43% variation in
continued its
received
trajectory
starlight.
toward Earth's
Imagine
orbital path,
if Earth's seasons
and
worked that way.
3I/ATLAS
Instead of gentle
itself
temperature changes
continued
driven
receding
by
into the
axial
outer solar
tilt,
system,
we would experience
beyond the
violent
reach of most
swings
Earth-based
every few
observations.
months. This is confirmed
The
orbital
April encounter
mechanics.
calculated
On
directly
April
from
22nd,
precise timing measurements
2025,
of transits.
3
The orbital period is 33
I/ATLASB
days.
reached its
That
closest
means
approach to Earth,
the planet goes from
22.4
maximum
million
starlight
kilometers,
to minimum
or
starlight
0.150
in about
AU.
16 days.
By
Then,
this time,
back
the
to
fragment was the
maximum
focus of
in another
humanity's most
16
intensive
days.
observational campaign
For life,
ever
this
directed at a
creates a
solar
punishing
system
rhythm.
object.
Just as
Every major
organisms
telescope
adapt
on
to
Earth
high
and in space was
temperatures and
trained
high
on
light
it.
levels,
Amateur
conditions
astronomers
reverse,
joined the effort with
temperatures
backyard
drop,
telescopes.
light dims.
Even the Hubble Space
Then,
Telescope and
before
James Webb
adaptation
Space
completes,
Telescope
conditions
interrupted their
reverse again.
scheduled observations
It is
to
like
study
trying
the
to
visitor.
acclimate to summer and winter
closest look.
simultaneously. On Earth,
At closest
seasonal
approach,
changes happen
3
slowly enough that life
I/ATLASB
adapts.
was close
Trees
enough for
sense
unprecedented
day-length
detailed
changes
observations.
months before winter,
Multiple
and
teams using
prepare by
different
moving
techniques
nutrients
resolved
and
the
shedding
object's structure.
leaves.
It was
Animals
roughly
build
80
up
meters
fat
across,
reserves or migrate
about the
to
size of
warmer
an office
climates.
building, and irregular
These
in shape,
adaptations work
but not
because seasons
chaotically
last
so.
months and
It had
repeat
distinct
predictably
facets and
every
edges,
year.
like a roughly
But
cut
33-day
gemstone.
cycles are
Its
faster
composition
than
was
most
predominantly
biological
rocky.
adaptations.
Spectra
A
showed
tree
silicates
cannot
and
grow
metals,
leaves,
similar
then
to
shed
asteroid
them,
material,
then grow them again
but
every
certain
few
regions
weeks.
showed higher
Microbial
reflectivity
life might
and
handle
different
this
spectral
better than
features,
complex organisms.
possibly indicating different
Bacteria
materials or
reproduce
coatings.
quickly. Generation
Most
times can be
intriguingly,
hours to days.
The object was
In
rotating,
33 days,
not tumbling
bacteria
chaotically
go
like
through
most small
dozens or
asteroids,
hundreds of
but
generations.
rotating in a controlled
That
manner
allows
around
rapid
a single
evolution.
axis, with a
Bacterial
period of exactly
populations could adapt to
24.0
changing
hours.
conditions through natural
The
selection,
24-hour
operating in
rotation
real time.
period, Dr. Alan
Beneficial
Fitzsimmons
mutations
noted dryly,
spread through the
is
population
precisely what you'd
within
want
one
if you were a
orbital
spacecraft
period.
maintaining a specific
Complex organisms
orientation
with generation
relative
times
to
of
the Sun
years
and Earth.
cannot adapt
It's the
this
period
quickly.
that keeps one
The
face
temperature
pointing toward a
swings
specific
affect
direction.
ocean circulation.
It could be
Warmer water
coincidence,
expands,
or
cooler water contracts.
quote, the
As the planet
silence
moves through its
continues.
orbit, the
Despite
ocean literally
humanity's
swells
hopes and
shrinks.
fears, 3
This creates tides separate from
I/ATLASB
gravitational tides.
remained silent
These
throughout the
thermal
encounter.
tides would
It
drive
emitted
currents,
no radio signals,
mixing surface
showed no signs
and
of
deep
activity,
water.
and made no
The
trajectory
mixing might help
adjustments.
distribute
It
nutrients,
simply sailed past,
benefiting marine
following
life,
its predicted
or
path,
it might disrupt
silent
stable
and
water
enigmatic.
layers.
Multiple
harming
nations had
organisms
positioned
adapted
spacecraft
to
to observe the
specific
close
depths.
approach.
Atmospheric
NASA's
chemistry
stereo satellites,
changes with
ESA's
temperature
solar
too.
orbiter,
Chemical
and several
reaction
commercial
rates double
satellites
every
captured
10
images
degrees
and
Celsius.
data.
As a
Japan's
rough rule,
Hayabusa 2
if surface
spacecraft,
temperatures vary
having completed
by
its
20
asteroid
degrees
sample
over
return
the
mission,
orbital cycle,
was redirected for a
reaction rates
distant
vary
observation.
by a factor
All
of
gathered
4.
data, but none
Dimethyl
found
sulfide
definitive answers.
destruction happens
The object's
4 times
magnetic field,
faster
much
at
weaker
orbital
than 3
closest approach than at
I/ATLAS,
farthest approach.
but still anomalously
Production
strong
rates
for a
also
natural
vary
rock,
if
was
they
confirmed.
depend on
Its composition
temperature-sensitive
was
biological
confirmed as rocky,
processes.
but with
The
unusual
result
isotopic
is
ratios.
that atmospheric
Its rotation was
concentrations
confirmed
might
as
oscillate
suspiciously
with the
regular.
orbit. Webb
but it did nothing.
observations captured
It transmitted
snapshots
nothing.
at
It just
specific
passed
moments
by.
during
The
the
departure.
orbit. The
After
data
closest
represents
approach,
whatever
3
conditions existed when the planet happened
I/ATLAS-B
to transit
continued
its
on
star.
its trajectory,
If
gradually
concentrations
receding
vary
from Earth.
significantly,
Within 2
different
weeks it had moved
observations
beyond the
might
range
show
of detailed
different
observation for all
dimethyl
but the
sulfide
largest telescopes.
comparing multiple
By mid-May,
observations
it was
could
gone,
reveal whether
fading into
concentrations
the
are
depths of
stable
space,
or variable.
following a hyperbolic trajectory
So far,
that would
2
eventually carry it out of the
observations
solar
show
system
consistent
entirely.
results.
Humanity
But
was
2
left
data
with
points
questions,
are not enough
debates,
to rule
and
out
no definitive
variability.
answers.
The elliptical
legacy.
orbit also
As of this
affects
writing,
the habitable
June
zone
2025,
concept. Traditionally,
both 3
the habitable zone is
I/ATLAS
defined as a
and 3
distance range where a
I/ATLASB
planet with Earth-like
continue their journeys
atmosphere
through the solar system.
maintains liquid water.
The main body is
That
approximately
assumes
3
circular
astronomical
orbits.
units from the Sun,
For elliptical
between the
orbits,
orbits of Mars
the
and
planet
Jupiter,
spends part
gradually
of each
receding.
orbit
The
inside
fragment
the
is
traditional
approximately
habitable
1.5
zone
astronomical
and part
units from the Sun,
outside.
also
This
on an
ocean
outbound
world
trajectory.
swings from just
Neither
inside
object is currently
to
transmitting
just
detectable
outside the
signals.
habitable zone.
Neither
for
shows
each
obvious
orbit.
signs of activity.
Whether liquid water
They're simply
can
there,
persist under such
moving
conditions
through space according to their
depends on
trajectories,
how quickly
silent
the ocean
and
responds to
mysterious.
changing
The
conditions.
scientific impact,
Water's high heat
regardless of
capacity
whether 3
provides buffering.
I/ATLAS
Oceans
is
do
natural
not
or
heat up
artificial,
or cool down
its discovery has
instantly. They
revolutionized
lag
several
behind
fields.
atmospheric changes.
Interstellar object studies,
Even if air
the diversity
temperatures
of
swing
properties among
dramatically,
just 3
ocean
interstellar
surface
objects,
temperatures might
Oumuamua,
vary by just a few
2
degrees.
I/Borisov,
Deep
and
ocean
3
temperatures
I/Atlas,
might barely change
has
at all.
shown that we cannot yet
Life could
define what
exist in
typical
these more
interstellar
stable
objects are
deep
like.
layers,
Each one has
protected
been
from
unique.
orbital variations.
Planetary system formation,
Alternatively,
the
life could
anomalous
migrate
chemistry and
vertically,
isotope ratios
following
in 3
optimal temperature layers as they
I/ATLAS
move up and
have
down.
forced reconsideration of how
future
materials
observations
form and evolve
confirm to
in
settle
different
the
stellar
debate?
environments.
The next observations
Models
must
of planetary
separate dimethyl
formation
sulfide
now
from
include more
dimethyl
exotic
disulfide.
scenarios,
Current
Detection
data shows
capabilities.
absorption features
The discovery
consistent
demonstrated
with either
capabilities
molecule
for
or both.
detecting and
They are
characterizing
chemical
small
cousins
objects
with
moving
similar
rapidly
spectral
through the solar
signatures
system.
in the observed
This has led to
wavelength
investments
range,
in more
but they are
advanced
not
survey
identical.
systems that will
Expanding
discover many more
observations
interstellar
to longer
visitors in coming
wavelengths
years.
would reveal
International
differences.
cooperation.
Dimethyl
The global
disulfide
effort to
has
study
strong
3I/ATLAS
absorption features between 6 and 7
demonstrated that
microns.
humanity can
Dimethyl
coordinate when
sulfide does
faced
not.
with something
Observing
unprecedented.
at those wavelengths
The
would
protocols
determine
developed
which
and
molecule
refined
is
during
present.
this event
This matters
will guide
because
future
dimethyl
responses to
sulfide
unusual
and dimethyl
objects or signals.
disulfide
The
form
unanswered
through slightly
questions.
different pathways.
Despite months of
On
intensive
Earth,
study,
dimethyl
fundamental
sulfide
questions
comes
remain.
primarily from phytoplankton,
What was
breaking down dimethyl
3I/ATLAS? Natural
sulfonylpropionate.
or artificial?
Dimethyl disulfide
If natural, how
comes
did it form
primarily
with such
from
unusual
bacterial
properties?
metabolism.
If artificial,
Finding one
who
versus
created
the
it and
other
why?
versus both
Why did it come
would
here?
constrain what
Was
types
its
of
trajectory
organisms
toward
might
our solar
exist.
system
All are
accidental, or was it
biosignatures,
targeted?
but they tell
Did it
different
deliberately
stories
insert
about the
itself into
ecosystem.
solar orbit?
The observations
Or was that
must also
remarkable
increase
coincidence?
statistical significance.
What were the signals?
Current confidence
Were the radio
sits at 3
transmissions
sigma,
natural emissions from some exotic
99.7%.
physical process?
That means 0.3%
Or were they deliberate
chance of error.
broadcasts?
Science
Did they contain
demands 5
information?
sigma
And
for
if so,
discovery,
what was
which
the
drops
fragment?
error probability
Why did
to
3I/ATLAS separate from the main
0.0006%.
body?
Achieving
Why did
5
it approach
sigma
Earth?
requires more
Was its
observation
trajectory
time.
change natural?
Each additional
Or was
transit
it under
observation
intelligent control?
improves the
Will they
signal to
return?
noise ratio.
Both objects
With
are now
2 or
leaving the
3
solar
more
system on
transits,
hyperbolic
scientists
trajectories.
estimate they would
But
reach 5 sigma. 5
3I/ATLAS
sigma is
remains
not
technically in a
arbitrary.
weakly bound
It is the
solar
threshold
orbit
where
for several
chance
more
becomes
decades.
so unlikely
Could it,
that
or something like
systematic
it,
errors
return?
become the
The
main
ongoing
concern.
search.
At 3 sigma, you
Astronomers
might see a
continue to
pattern
monitor
by
both
luck.
objects
At
as long
5
as they
sigma,
remain observable.
luck is
The
essentially
proposed
ruled out.
space missions to
Any
intercept
remaining
and study
uncertainty involves whether the
ATLAS
instruments
are
are
moving
calibrated
forward,
correctly,
with launch
or
dates
whether the
tentatively
models
set
are
for
complete.
2026 to
Those questions can be
2027.
addressed through independent
Even more
verification
importantly,
and alternative
survey
analysis
systems
methods.
are being upgraded to
Independent
detect more
verification
interstellar objects.
means other teams
The Vera
analyzing
C.
the
Rubin
same data.
Observatory,
Scientific
scheduled to begin
results
operations
gain
in late
credibility
2025,
when multiple groups
will
reach
scan the
same
entire
conclusion
visible sky multiple
using
times per
different
week with
analysis
unprecedented
techniques.
sensitivity.
Web data
It's
is
expected
public
to detect
after a
dozens or
short
hundreds of
proprietary
interstellar
period.
objects per year.
Anyone can download it and
If
analyze it.
3I/ATLAS
Multiple
represents a
teams
new
have
category
already
of
looked
interstellar
at
object,
the dimethyl sulfide
whether natural
signal.
or
They
artificial,
generally agree it is
we'll
real,
soon know if it's
though
unique
debates
or
continue
if there are
about
others like it.
interpretation. More data
The
would
philosophical
give more to
impact.
analyze and would help
Perhaps
resolve
3I/ATLAS's
disagreements. The
greatest
observations
impact
should
is
also
philosophical
search for
rather
other
than scientific.
biosignature candidates.
It has forced
Methyl
humanity to
chloride is
confront questions
predicted
we've
to be a
always known existed,
biosignature on
but could
Haitian
comfortably
worlds.
ignore.
It forms when
Are we alone?
organisms incorporate chlorine
If
into organic molecules.
3I/ATLAS is artificial,
Earth's oceans
then we're
contain
not.
methyl chloride produced
If it's
by
natural
marine
but with
algae
such
in
exotic
Canada.
properties,
Finding it on
then
this
the
ocean
universe
world
is far stranger
would
than we
provide
imagined,
independent evidence
and perhaps
for
more
biology.
filled with possibilities than we
Conversely,
dared hope.
not finding it might suggest abiotic
How should we
processes
respond to
dominate.
contact?
Oxygen remains
The debates and
gold
divisions
standard
revealed during the
biosignature. On Earth,
3I/ATLAS crisis
photosynthetic organisms
showed that
produce
humanity
oxygen
lacks
as waste.
consensus on
It
how to handle
accumulates in the
possible
atmosphere
extraterrestrial
because
contact.
constant replenishment overcomes
We need
chemical
better
destruction.
frameworks, better
Finding
protocols,
oxygen on an
and better global
exoplanet would be
cooperation.
powerful evidence for life.
What are our
Though
limitations?
abiotic oxygen production
The inability
is
to
possible through
definitively
water
determine
photolysis.
whether
This ocean world
3I/ATLAS is
shows no
natural or
oxygen,
artificial,
which actually
despite
fits
all
the
our
Haitian
technology and all our
hypothesis.
observations.
Hydrogen
is humbling.
atmospheres would not accumulate
There are
oxygen,
questions we cannot
even
yet
if
answer.
organisms produced it.
There is knowledge
The
beyond our
hydrogen
current
would
reach.
react with oxygen
What lies ahead?
immediately. Seasonal
If
variations
interstellar objects like
deserve attention.
3I/ATLAS
If
visit
biosignature
regularly,
concentrations
what might
change
they
over
tell us
time,
about the galaxy
that
beyond?
might reflect biological
What might
cycles,
we learn about distant star
orbital
systems,
variations,
exotic chemistry,
or stellar activity
or even
effects.
about intelligent civilizations
Earth's
if they
atmosphere
exist?
shows seasonal cycles
The
in
object
carbon
that
dioxide
shouldn't exist.
as plants grow and decay.
The title of this account
Similar
calls
cycles on another world would
3I/ATLAS
suggest
the object that
biology
shouldn't
responds
exist.
to environmental changes.
That's true in multiple senses.
Alternatively,
If it's
stable
natural,
concentrations
it shouldn't
over
exist
months
because
or
its
years
properties require
might
formation
suggest
conditions
robust
that seem
equilibrium
impossible
between
according to our
production and destruction.
understanding of stellar
The
chemistry
ultimate
and
goal
planetary
is not
formation.
just confirming dimethyl sulfide
If it's artificial,
presence, but
it shouldn't
understanding
exist
its
because the
source.
existence of
That requires
extraterrestrial
detecting
technology
a
in
suite
our
of
solar system
molecules that
would
together
overturn
point
our assumption that we're
unmistakably to
alone,
biology,
or at least
clearly
that we
indicate
haven't been
abiotic
visited.
processes. No
If
single
it represents
molecule
new
proves
physics,
life exists.
it shouldn't exist
but
because it would mean our
combinations of
understanding of the
molecules
universe is
that
more
only make
incomplete than we
sense together
realize.
with biological
In
production
any case,
would be compelling.
3I/ATLAS
What threshold threshold
ATLAS
must be
challenges
crossed
us.
before declaring
It reminds
we
us
have
that the
found
universe is
alien
not
life.
obligated to
The
conform
stakes could
to our
not be higher.
expectations.
announcing the discovery
shows
of
us
alien life
that our
would be
century
one
of
of the most
astronomical
profound
observation
moments in
has
human
revealed
history.
only a tiny
It
fraction
would
of what's
answer a
out
question we have asked for
there. It
thousands
teaches
of
us
years.
humility.
Are we alone?
As I write
The
this,
answer would
both
reshape philosophy,
3I/ATLAS
religion,
and its
science,
fragment
and our
continue
sense
their
of
silent
place in the
journeys
universe.
outward.
Getting it
They're
wrong
moving away
would
from
be
the sun,
catastrophic.
toward the cold
Claiming
darkness of
life
interstellar
exists
space.
when it does not would
Soon,
destroy credibility.
Within a few years,
Future
they'll be too
genuine
distant and
discoveries
too
might be
faint to
doubted.
observe even with our best
That is why
telescopes.
scientists demand 5
then they'll be
sigma
gone,
certainty. 5
vanishing
sigma
into the void
means
from
the
which they came,
probability of being
taking
wrong
their
through
secrets with
random
them.
chance is less than
Unless we
1
send
in
something to follow them.
3.5 million. That
Unless
is
we
like
build
flipping
better
a coin
detectors to find
and
others
getting
like them.
heads 22 times
Unless
in a
we
row.
keep watching,
Possible,
keep questioning,
but so unlikely
keep searching
you would
for
bet
answers.
everything that the coin is rigged.
because that's what
In
humans
particle
do.
physics,
We
5
ask
sigma
questions.
is how scientists
seek
confirmed
understanding.
the Higgs boson.
We reach toward
In astronomy,
mysteries,
5
even knowing we
sigma
might
is
never
how
fully resolve
gravitational
them.
waves were announced. For alien life,
3I/ATLAS
anything
came
less
to us
would be
unexpectedly,
irresponsible.
showed
This
us
is not
wonders and
official
puzzles,
policy,
and
but
will soon
rather
depart.
scientific consensus
But it's
built
leaving
through
behind
hard
something
experience.
perhaps more valuable
History
than answers.
teaches caution.
It's
In
leaving
1996, NASA scientists
Questions about
announced
what lies
possible
beyond our solar
fossilized
system.
bacteria in a Martian
questions
meteorite.
about what else
The
might be
news made
traveling through
headlines
interstellar
worldwide,
space,
but further analysis
Questions
revealed
about whether we're
alternative
truly alone,
explanations.
or whether
What looked like
intelligence has arisen
bacterial
elsewhere
fossils might be
and reached
mineral
out,
formations.
or visited,
What looked like
or watched us
biological
from
markers
afar.
might be contamination.
Questions
Today,
about whether the
most
universe is
scientists
stranger than we
consider the
suppose,
evidence
or
insufficient.
whether it's stranger than
The
we can
episode taught
suppose.
everyone involved to demand stronger proof
I/ATLAS
before making
shouldn't
bold
exist,
claims.
but it
More
does.
recently,
And that fact,
phosphine on
that
Venus
simple, undeniable
generated
fact,
excitement.
changes
In
everything.
2020,
The universe has
scientists
surprised
reported
us again.
detecting phosphine gas
It won't
in
be the
Venus's
last time.
clouds.
The next
On Earth,
interstellar visitor could
phosphine
arrive
is
tomorrow,
produced by
next
bacteria
year, or
or
decades from
industrial
now.
processes.
It might be more
Finding
clearly
it on
natural,
Venus
settling our
suggested
doubts,
possible
or it might be more
microbial
clearly
life floating in
artificial,
the clouds.
confirming our
But
wildest
reanalysis
speculations,
questioned the detection.
or it might be even
The
more
spectral
anomalous than
signature
3I/ATLAS,
Sulfur
opening entirely
dioxide
new mysteries.
misidentified.
We're
The
watching,
claimed phosphine
we're waiting,
might not exist at all.
we're preparing,
Confidence eroded from
because
strong
somewhere out
detection
there
to
between the
uncertain
stars,
maybe.
other objects
Those
are
false
traveling.
starts had consequences.
Some are certainly natural.
Public interest
Comets
in
and asteroids
astrobiology
ejected from
remains
distant
high,
planetary
but
systems,
skepticism
wandering the
increased.
galaxy for millions
Media
of years.
outlets treat new
But
claims
maybe,
more cautiously.
just maybe, some are
Scientists
not.
face pressure
Maybe
to be
some carry
absolutely
messages.
certain before going
Maybe some
public.
carry observers.
The dimethyl sulfide
Maybe some carry
discovery
questions of
comes
their own,
with those lessons
seeking
learned.
answers from
The
the young
research team
civilization on the third
repeatedly
planet of an
emphasizes
average
caution.
star.
They are not claiming life has been found.
3I/ATLAS has taught
They are
us that we
claiming
don't
a
have all the
biosignature
answers,
that
but
requires
more
explanation.
importantly, it's
The
shown us that
difference
we're living in a
matters.
time when we
A
might actually get
biosignature
some
is a
answers.
signal consistent with
The
life.
universe is vast,
It is not
it's
proof of
ancient,
life.
it's strange,
Other
and
explanations might
occasionally
exist.
it sends us visitors that
signal might
remind
be
us just how much
misinterpreted.
we have yet to
The
learn.
observations might contain errors. Only
3I/ATLAS
after
came.
exhausting
It puzzled us.
alternatives
It
and
challenged us.
confirming the signal
It's
repeatedly
leaving.
can
But
scientists
the mystery
consider
remains,
claiming
and
discovery.
that's exactly how it
That
should be.
process takes time.
If this journey
It
through one of the
requires
most
patience.
profound mysteries
It
in modern
requires
astronomy left
additional
you with more
observations
questions
that
than
might
answers,
take years
that
to
means you're
obtain.
thinking.
Public
And that's
communication
exactly the
challenges
point.
this approach.
Hit that
The
subscribe
moment
button
preliminary
right now,
results
because
suggest
we're living
alien
through an
life,
unprecedented
media
era
coverage
where the
explodes.
boundaries between natural and
Headlines
artificial,
simplify complex
between known
findings.
and unknown,
Nuance
between
gets
science
lost.
and speculation,
The public
are
hears
blurring
that
in the most
scientists found
exciting
aliens
ways.
when scientists
Drop a comment
actually
below.
said they found a signal
Do you think
that might indicate life.
3I/ATLAS was
Managing
natural,
expectations
artificial,
becomes
or
crucial.
something else entirely?
Overclaiming causes
What would you do
backlash.
if you had the power to send a message to
Underclaiming
it before it leaves our
means
solar system
discoveries
forever?
get ignored.
Smash that
Finding
like
the
button if you
balance
want more
is
deep
difficult.
dives into the
Some
discoveries
argue
that
that
challenge
5
everything
sigma
we
is
thought we
too
knew
strict
about
for
our place in the
biosignatures.
universe.
Unlike
Because the
particle
cosmos
physics,
is
where
full of
experiments
mysteries,
can be
and
repeated easily,
3I/ATLAS has taught us that some of the biggest mysteries might not be light years away.
Waiting for
They
5
might be
sigma
right here,
might take
passing
decades.
through our solar system,
Meanwhile,
waiting for
the
us to
signal
notice.
is real. Should
See you in
society
the
wait
next
for
exploration
perfect
of the
certainty
impossible
before
made real.
acknowledging